As far as thanks for joining us, folks. If anyone's there right now, but yeah, Matt, trying to abandon me. You know, you're a coward. Backing out. See, this is how
I'm not
no.
backing out. I can't do that.
Then my this, I have a 15-minute window. I'll give like things could happen. Last minute bathroom break. Loved one comes home. You know, dog just threw up on the carpet. You know, whatever. So stuff could happen. I get that. 15 minutes, then you lost me. I'll go either do it solo or I'll cancel it. That'll happen. I've had that happen before.
You can pretend to talk to that person like they're there.
Like, don't worry, folks. They're talking to me directly, and I'll just relay that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not going to act crazy. I'm crazy enough to begin with. Because what's going on, Matt? What the fuck is going on with the comics today?
I don't know.
And why do you follow these people? You follow, like, I avoid these people. I have a lot of these people muted for good reason, but they still show up. It's like the undead. It's like if these people, this Comicsgate and Move the Needle community, if they were zombies, they'd be the ones from Return of the Living Dead. The kind, even if after you cremate them, their ashes turn into acid rain and bring more dead back to life. That's what these people would be.
You would think it would be a good thing, but it's not.
A horrible thing. It just makes it worse. Everything gets worse. That's why I love it. That's my favorite zombie movie, because everything they do just makes it worse. But what, like, are you like some people that like you don't like, maybe not like Trump, but you follow him just to see what the hell he says? Kind of.
No, I don't. I don't follow the president.
No, I'm saying, like, you know, and do you consider that's why you follow some of these people, you know, these Comicsgaters, as it were, to like just kind of like, you know, keep your friends close, your enemies closer, kind of thing, and also keep
I would think some of the people I was following, I was getting a little bit of actual comic book news from also that I feel like I don't get from some of the larger affiliates. So I mean, I would say that was, I guess, mainly the reason why, more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. So now that they've kind of gone into a much less,
they're all in that Kickstarter mode, like everyone.
Dude, I had
everyone's selling something all of a sudden.
Well, if Frightweiser hadn't gotten back to me, because like when you know, he did the whole what do you call it, the pre-pitch, you know. The prelim for the Red Rooster. If he hadn't got back, I was like, why does it say March 2019? It's a 60-page comic. He's already going to reach the stretch goal?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, he's already knocked it out.
Yeah, within, like, he did a 11 o'clock. He started 11 a.m. and then it'll be 10 a.m. his time, and then, you know, like they had already made it by 1 p.m. They were past like 116% funded at that point. So done. And which Mitch and Elizabeth and that Mark Pellegrini, I haven't really had much conversations with him on Twitter, a little bit here and there, little jokey stuff, but Mitch and Elizabeth a lot bit more, you know, kind of call it a bit more a little less conversation, a little more action.
You gotta move. You gotta move that product, dude.
But yeah, that's the thing, they build in that community. And with that being the case, I was happy to support him until I saw that March 2019. I'm like, you're a professional comic artist, and it's going to take you 9 months to do 60 pages? What?
I mean, what else does he have going on right now besides this book?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was expecting, because he's like, oh, I've been talking about it for years, and like, you know, I was just surprised. I was like kind of shocked a bit. I was like, oh, that's no good. But turns out it's just kind of a marketing deal.
That was about to say, maybe it's just a larger window in a hope to maybe pull in more money.
Well, no, what I was thinking, like before he explained it, it was like, you know, kind of under promise but over deliver. Like, hey, it's gonna be March 2019 for it's out, and then, oh wait, we're gonna have it out before Christmas, you know, that kind of thing.
Damn.
Which that's what I would do. Like, you expect it one thing, and then a good surprise happens. Not like, you know, Last Jedi situation, or
we don't get many good surprises anymore. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like good surprises. Yeah, you have surprises like, oh, hey, the Force of Solitude is now going to be in a Bermuda Triangle. Okay. Well, it wasn't the Amazon rainforest. I think the Bermuda Triangle might be worse. That, at least
I don't
Amazon.
know, man. I don't know.
Well, Amazon rainforest, you had to go all the way down there. You'd have to worry about the cattle barons burning down the rainforest for their Black Angus, and that's right there. That's fine, but yeah, this Kickstarter mode, like everybody's going to be doing it, and I have this crazy notion that they're going to have some comic book pros doing some carpet bagging, where you've had these people been grinding in the independent grind for years, and it's like, get out of my way, and they go push them out of the way so these pros can come in because they're seeing all this money. Oh my God, 15,000 in less than 2 hours. I could do that too.
It's
and so,
gonna start picking up traction. You're right, man. Definitely.
it's going to hurt it. You're going to burn people out. If every week there's a Kickstarter going, like right now, Tim Truman. I don't know if you read Scout or the Hawkworld series. Two Gun Mojo, the Jonah Hex book.
Hawkworld, yeah.
Hawkworld, yes.
Yeah.
He did that, and he did a crowdfunding, but because he really doesn't have an online presence, he just barely got to his goal, which is I think was like 15,000, 10 or 15,000. Might not even been that much, like 9,000, but he had just got to it over like 20 some odd days, 22 days, which the book looks incredible. It's basically done, and it's 100 pages, and he's only charging $20 for it plus shipping and handling. And
he just wasn't very good at reaching out to people, I guess.
Well, I guess he doesn't have. I mean, he's like 60. He's around 60 years old, so he probably doesn't really have an online presence. I mean, growing up most of your life without, the internet.
Well, I feel like in, I guess, situations like that, there are people you can reach out to be like, hey,
help
me get the word out.
And that right there, that's fine. But if you don't know
what to
do, what would you expect?
You wouldn't know. Yeah, you probably wouldn't ask for help either.
Yeah, you have to be something. But I feel bad for it
because it's like, this shit. Here you go.
It's like one of those. It's gonna be like one of those kind of hidden gems. And yeah, I want to go about picking up good quality books. Like that's why I didn't go pick up that Iron Sights book. Oh my! Like I found the guy. Did you see the art for that?
No, yeah, I did see the art for it. I'm more dumbfounded that we haven't got the other book that he's supposed to be putting out, and now we're already launched another one. It's like, well, why don't we see this, man? Let's see.
Deliver the first one first.
Deliver on the hype here, And now we've already got something else. I just don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, this community. Yeah, they're good at one thing, raising money. That's about it. Because as far as improving comic quality at Marvel, DC, everywhere else, that's not happening.
I don't feel like you can change that by putting out solo books.
Yeah, this is not something that's going to save. A $25 comic is not going to save a comic book store. A standard customer is going to come in, hey, can I get the new Iron Sights trade paperback or graphic novel? It'll be graphic novel, yeah. It's like, here you go. You've saved my store. Thank you so much. It's not going to happen.
Here's your black, kid.
Here's your black. Here, you saved our comic store, kid.
Thanks a lot, kid.
Give him a ribbon. Give him a blue ribbon, and make sure it's got like when he used to do the hazing rituals, where it's like the studs, the metals, the prongs, and then put it on their uniform, and then punch it like right into their chest.
There you go,
like a 10-year-old. Here you go, kid. Oh, but it's this. I'll say this: like, I'm not a fan of Richard. I used to talk to him back when he was, Richard Meyer and not the diversity in comics guy. Before Captain Cummins basically created a monster.
Holy cow, dude!
Dude, and they turned on him. He's an SJW, Doug Ernst. I don't have it. I don't care what Doug Ernst says. Like that's why I muted him a long time ago. He's like, okay, whatever. It's like stuff would pop up in my feed all the time because I happen to follow people that are, if not in the Comicsgate community, are in the fringe of it, and will happen to retweet or comment, and it will pop up in my feed. I'm like, this is, it's like a garden. It's overgrowing. I got to keep my rows trimmed. I got to keep the bugs out. I got to keep the snakes out, stuff like that. And sometimes you really got to take that hoe to the garden, and you come back up with chunks. And there's a lot of chunks missing, but hey, the garden's still the garden.
That's right.
They turned on Doug Ernst. They turned on Captain Cummins. Oh, Cummins is spurging out. And Ethan, who I was like, all right, this guy got shafted, kind of the underdog story. This is a guy. But then I started thinking about it. He was a slow artist at Marvel. He was so slow they let him go of his contract. He can't produce on a constant basis. The guy can't do. Remember in the days when you'd have artists work on a book for years, like almost like nonstop. He puts all this detail in his work.
That was a staple.
Exactly. Barry Windsor Smith. He puts detail in his work and it looks great. Ethan, not so much. When he did that Rainbow Brute, I keep bringing this up. That looked great. That's the kind of comic I would buy. I mean, personally, I know that's everybody else would. They
it's
love
coming.
It.
Get ready, dude. I think he's already kind of hinted at that's going to be coming next, dude. After the fucking Ninja Frog business.
But yeah, the Ninja Frog.
I had never read that comic book. I guess it came out in the 90s, I guess originally, and I was finally able to actually find that and read some of that.
I came across that. I picked up Vampirella Wetworks, the crossover issue that Harris Comics put up, the Harris side, because I'm picking up some old Wetworks books. I'd never read
the Harris side. How did?
Well, there was they had Vampirella Wetworks and the Wetworks Vampirella, and Wetworks Vampirella was the Image Harris version, and then Vampirella Wetworks was the Harris Image version. But on the back of that one, the one I had, the Harris book, which had like better quality paper and like a cardstock cover, is Cyberfrog versus Creed. Not Apollo Creed, but the
Creed the band?
No, Creed. Arms wide open.
I don't know.
There was a character called Creed. He was created by Trent Kanuga, Kanuij. It's like this kind of. He looks like a. There's like in the 90s. I think it was Janko Jeans had like a mascot, kind of guy with a big old. It kind of looks like that, like a 90s Gene mascot. This character. So Cyberfrog versus him with Ethan's art. And I'm like, you can't escape this damned frog.
That damn frog.
But yeah,
I will say the art. I mean, I like the art. I mean, I like his art. I can't say I don't like his art, even if it takes forever.
I don't care for it. It's not offensive to the eye.
I will say I didn't like his art on X-Men though. I'm one of those. I'm sorry.
Yeah, honestly, I'd like Igor Creday's work better. The guy they've got fill in, right after him with a very muddied art, kind of everybody looked lumpy. I like that more.
The lumpy potatoes, yeah.
The lumpy potato men were much better because
I love it.
Everybody looked like they were carved out of plastic. It didn't look fluid. And that's another thing about comics art. Like, I like Kurt Swan for what he did, but his art was like Kurt Swan and Ethan Van Sciver have a lot in common because their art's really stiff. But Kurt Swan had a simple line, so it worked better. For me, at the very least, but you had a lot of these artists that have very stiff. It's like, yes, it's correctly drawn, but it doesn't have no life to it. And it's just like a focus on too much detail, like the cross hatching, shading, and stuff along those lines. But in that being the case, he's making a ton of bank. The whole, I know Ethan ain't saying this about gatekeeping. Yes, I am. It's now right there. I was like, this is great.
That was an exciting day right there, man.
That right there, it's like
turned on each other.
It's been a civil war, and there's been certain people saying, well, we got to fight these people. We can't let SJWs in. I'm like, they're already in. They run Marvel and DC. They run these companies. They are bleeding hearts. They're in California. What do you expect? They're not in New York. They're not in.
There is no war.
There is no war. You may have skirmishes, and you may have
internet spat.
It's spats. Yes, you have spats. You have brief. It's like the IRA. And like they were bombing, doing all their bombings and stuff during the 80s against the British occupation of Northern Ireland. Yeah, they were fighting, but what are you going to do? You're going to bomb the UK? You're going to bomb England away from Ireland? That ain't going to happen. It's impotency.
It's not how that works.
No, you can strike back. You can make them hurt. You can hurt them, but you're never going to fully defeat them. And you're just going to make people go against you. And that's exactly what a lot of these comics gators have done and pushed a lot of people away, which I'm kind of happy to see happen. And I look at these people like Captain Cummins. I watched a couple of his videos. That wasn't for me. That's not my thing. Also the length of a lot of these videos, 15, 20 minutes to talk about one thing. Who's got time for that? Apparently a lot of people, but
not me. No, yeah, thank you.
Exactly. It's like, what's the point of that? But I'm looking
anytime at, like, someone farts wrong, that guy's made a video. It's
they can't help themselves. They like doing 3 live streams a day, multiple videos. You know, yeah, it's the gimmick in the car. Like I was gonna joke about that, like do like a video kind of like that. And I was like, then I'd be doing it. It's like saying, hey, look how gay this is, and do a gay act. So, but I'm not really gay, so it's fun. Like, so you're still doing it, you know, that kind of thing. It's you're
explain
still
what you're doing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, to make a joke video of in your car and do this, you're still doing it and perpetuating that bullshit. And that right there, that's the problem. And hopefully it's like communism or any cult. You wake up, it's like, wake up, Indy, I love you, and then torch to your side. You need to drink the
black wake you up.
Exactly.
You gotta wake you up.
It's just
it's futile. The way that this has all been approached, I feel like it creates a monster.
It has created a monster.
Perpetual fight. That's all it is.
With Ethan, you know, Ethan saying, you know, we need to, like, you know, keep these out of the industry. I'm like, dude, you're your own boss. Unless you start hiring people outright, you don't have to worry about that. Why do you give a shit now? You quit DC. You're gone. You don't work for corporations anymore. You're your own boss. Richard, he's his own boss. You don't work
for the man.
Exactly. Exactly. Because these people are acting like, well, we got to keep them out. Like, no fucking shit, Sherlock. But guess what? The horses already fucking got out of the stables and won the fucking Kentucky Derby. What are you gonna do? Like, no, we got to keep it in the stables. You stupid fucks. This doesn't work this way. You're acting like you.
Yeah.
It's like if you have your mentality, you're running your own fucking company, you call the fucking shots. Usually you hire friends or people you know, because that's just how that goes. I mean, you hire who you know. And
you hire who you can trust. Exactly.
Trust. But then my idea is, like, you see how, like, look how well, like, hey, everybody's 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, these people were all buddy. Not so much anymore. Which, like, bad things happen. Oh well. Maybe they'll probably get back together, all lovey-dovey. Everything's all ironed out. This will probably be seething down below the surface because they realize they need each other to make money. But all Comicsgate and the rest of the shit has ever done is make money for certain amounts of people and make names out of nobodies. Who would have given a fuck about Magdalene Visaggio, Mags, Brian Visaggio, whatever?
I didn't know who any of these people were before Comicsgate.
Exactly. And have comics gotten better? Have prices gone down? Has quality of content gone up? No. Because Comicsgate and the rest of this shit's been fucking limp dick impotent. This is Night Owl and Watchmen. I'm so impotent. They have to go out and fight crime to get a goddamn hard on.
We need a monster.
they need a monster. They are making the fucking Cthulhu squid creature at Antarctic base right now. Because if they don't have a monster to fight, they got nothing. And that is the biggest problem with this bullshit. Because you go into it, if you disagree, you're thrown in, oh, you're SJW. All right, fine. Throw that in there. So you fucking win. You fucking win your side. We got to kick them out. Kick them out. So you only hire certain people. Well, it doesn't matter what quality of content. We got to make sure SJWs don't get here. Any system that is not inherently right, by definition, conservative by definition, will eventually turn to the left. That's how that shit goes. And it's a creative endeavor. So every comic has to be pro right wing. Like, that is so fucking boring. It's like, what the fuck are you people doing?
It doesn't make sense because you're wanting to apply the same tactic that your perceived enemy is using as a tactic themselves. And it's like, why would you do that? I mean, it's counterproductive.
Horseshoe theory, dude. The horseshoe theory.
You gotta stop looking at someone as an enemy, and you gotta figure out how to work with people. You know.
Yeah,
that's the only way anything's going to be fixed.
Well, there's a lot of them. Like there was an article I had recently read where fan article wasn't like big publication or anything, equating certain stuff, and also the article before that article happened, there was I'd seen some stuff along the lines of these are equivalent of people taking shit in your house. You're just going to let them do that? Well, it's a community. It's a concept. It's a state of mind. I enjoy comics. You don't enjoy all the comics I enjoy. I don't enjoy all the comics you enjoy. There's some people that just love indies, that love superheroes. Oh, I love manga. They love French. They only French comics. Like they took French in high school, and it's the way they keep themselves. Whatever. There's always going to be a reason. At the end of the day, we love comics. That's the most important thing. You love comics? Yes, I love making them, love reading them, all that. That is the most important thing. But to these people, it's not. It's where do you stand? Who are you with? Are you with Comicsgate? Are you against Comicsgate? If you're
What's your soapbox?
Exactly. What's your soapbox? It's like, where's your card? Where's your membership card to this group? If you don't show your membership card, we're going to kick you out. This kind of bullshit.
It's insanity.
And it is, but a lot of people go toe the line because they realize if I kind of stay on the edge, not say on the fringes of Comicsgate, I can get money. I can make money off these people. I can make them think I'm kind of allied with a lot of their stuff, which there's really no platform because there's no real leader. I think EVS thinks he's kind of the leader, I guess. Who knows at this point? Mormons be Mormons, I tell you, man.
I think a number of them think that they're whatever this leader is, and I feel like anytime the moment you give your little movement a leader, that's when it's over.
See that right there? That's the biggest problem. It should have been treated like terrorist cells, as horrible as that sounds. And that right there would make more sense. If a terrorist cell goes down, it doesn't take anybody else with it. If your goal is to just make good comics, you can do that with nobody fucking with you. And I'm looking at it as you have one leader, then you have a movement. Yeah, you can guide that movement. Hey, that's great. But then that guy could say, hey, go over here and do this. And you have like a Jim Jones situation. Everybody goes towards Hitler or Stalin. I'll go to Jim Jones because that's how this is like a cult. There's a lot of people, they feel, I owe this person to this. I owe this person with that. There's people in this community that have only gotten into comics because of YouTube videos, which, hey, that's great. But they're so fucking ignorant. They have names and they're fucking names. And maybe they're being ironic and, hey, that's clever. But you say, hey, hey, that George Perez did that. George who? You mean Perez, the one that did the pervert comic? They know about the shitty fucking comics, but they don't know about the fucking classics. This right here is the biggest fucking problem. They're being taught. It's like teaching a bunch of fucking retards.
They're only seeing the scope of comics from one person's point of view instead of going and looking for themselves. You only see so much that way when you're only looking through the lens of someone else.
And right there, like you said, like you're looking through other people's eyes, like, kind of playing devil's advocate. Like, I like to see where the people come from, even for the most part. There are certain things I'll never agree on. It's like a lot of this stuff, you can understand where communism comes from. You have a bunch of bigger names come in, scoop up all the money. Like I said, it's like a megalodon in a kiddie pool. Just yum, 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 yum. That's it. There's no room for anything else. And hey, it happens. Well, that's just the way it goes. That's how you get communism. That's how you get these people like they go towards, well, if I can't have the money, then nobody should be able to have the money. And it should all be equal, that kind of stuff. And that's the scary thought.
No.
Because it can easily.
That's not how this works.
And a lot of people, I treat this community as a flea market, okay? A lot of times it's open. It's like almost like a 24/7 flea market. I have my little booth where I sell my stuff. Somebody has theirs. They just sell prints or they sell pins and little bullshit tchotchkes and shit like that. And if somebody makes a stink and wants to cause a ruckus down that way, good. Fuck them. More people come my way because I'm not going to treat them like shit. But
show them what I have.
Exactly. Man, here's what we got. This is what we got. I can make you a deal right here, kind of like Virgil. Hey man, I'll send this for $10. What? Just go up, take a photo with them, just charge them a lot of fucking money. I want to see people who bust their ass succeed and not be fucked over. But a lot of the time, that's what happens. It's like, what do you do next? A lot of people are like, oh my God, I will never raise that much money. No, you won't. More than likely not. But are you okay with that? Are you going to quit now? If you're going to quit now, quit. Fuck this. Oh, you can do it. There's certain people I do that for because I don't want their suicides on my hand. Like hands.
Man.
I'm not kidding. There's a few people I think like they've sunk in money and time into projects and it's not paid off. And I'm like, they're gonna fucking off themselves, and then like have to then people. I'm gonna have to act like I feel bad because like you fucking do that shit. You're doing it to fucking everybody else. You're gone. You're fucking shuffled off this mortal coil. Why am I gonna feel your body? Your body might be here, remains might be here, but that's it. You are gone, motherfucker. But you are going to cause a shit ton of pain and grief for everybody around you. Oh, I should have done something different. This like, if they ain't fucking strong enough, they ain't strong enough. Survival of the fittest, motherfucker.
Holy shit!
I'm kind of apocalyptic in that way because there's a lot of people. I spent time. I try to keep. There's a couple people that were on their kind of. I was almost like a 24/7, like a non-paid kind of crisis line for. There's more than one person, and it was aggravating as shit. It burned me out of kind of giving a fuck when it comes to that. It's like either you're going to thrive or you're not. And it's like, especially when you're being creative, it's going to be a fucking taxing experience. You're going to want to quit multiple times. And if you do, you do. You don't, you keep going. You make yourself stronger. You better yourself.
You gotta want it though.
Anything worth a damn is not going to be easy.
That's right.
And these people act like, oh, I could do this because they see, I could be a big YouTube star. I just do what Richard does. Zach, my boy, I'll just do the same thing. Oh, I'll start shit with creators and I can make a name for myself. Oh, like, no, you're just making an ass of yourself. He has a talent. It ain't art. It ain't writing. It's making money. That's what he's good at. He makes money. He's the Stan Lee of this little, if you want to call it, comics community. Stan Lee is not a great writer. He's not great.
A visionary.
Visionary, my ass. Visionary. You call Stripperella visionary. Everything else. Look at what was considered visionary. Look who he was working with: Ditko and Kirby. Everyone else.
True visionaries.
The true visionaries are the ones that are workmen. Ditko still works. He's still making comics today. People don't buy him that much. I mean, he sells like, whatever. It's already printed up. It's already done. Robin Snyder is like kind of this kind of assistant pops up. But yeah, it just comes up about every 6 months, maybe to a year. Like his Mr. A and a couple of other comics, and they'll sell them. They're black and white, they're rough, but the dude's like 90 years old, still making comics. Nobody can stop that motherfucker.
He's gonna keep going. He's doing what he loves. I mean,
he's doing what he loves.
This is a guy that understands giving yourself over to it.
It's just this idea of putting yourself out there, and a lot of people in the comics community, whether it be at conventions or online, they're very withdrawn. They doubt themselves. Fuck that shit, motherfucker. I'll draw my ass off. I'll fucking bust my ass for this shit. I'm sometimes extroverted. I can be kind of introverted. Sometimes, hey, how's it going? If I don't want to talk to you, I won't talk to you. Go fuck yourself. If you come with your fucking hand out wanting something, hey, give me. Fuck off.
That's not how it works.
Yeah. But yeah, this idea of people, let's say, milking this community for what they have. Like, oh, I'm pro Comicsgate. What the fuck does that mean?
Well, they're marks. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Some of these people have figured out that they can sell this particular product to this particular set of people, depending on, most of these people have the same likes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And when you think about it, okay, Watergate. What happened to Watergate? Okay, they broke into Democratic offices and National Convention offices. G. Gordon Liddy.
You needed to hear what those scumbags were saying.
Yeah, we gotta know what them bastards were saying so we could win the election. Nixon resigned. G. Gordon Liddy went to jail. Gerald Ford came to be president. Okay, that resolved. Watergate had a resolution. Gamergate, no fucking resolution for that. All it did was make Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn go to the fucking United Nations, and Anita Sarkeesian and the rest of these motherfuckers have infiltrated basically every Western, video game publisher, except for, I think, CD Projekt Red, because they ain't gonna get on their ass to go to fucking Poland. Them Polacks won't put up with that shit, Hey, bitch, get out to here.
Yeah, none of that shit accomplished anything.
Yeah, it's this. It just made certain people popular and recognition as well as money. Milo Yiannopoulos, Sargon, Medicare bounced out. Medicare got smart. He's like, fuck this. He has. I wouldn't say he has morals, but he's just like, fuck this. Nope. too much heat, he backed off. But Sargon, Milo, Anita, Zoe, the rest of these motherfuckers made money off this. So they made their names off of that. Look what's happened in Comicsgate. Nothing is going to get accomplished. All it's going to do is make names like Daryl Ayo and Mags and Richard, and Ethan already had a name, but it's already risen because he was kind of, I'll invite Richard to my wedding and all this and that. Like, you don't just invite some random YouTuber to a wedding unless you're weird. But there's a lot of weird people out there.
He did.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. He did. So you have these people like they're buddy, and so it's like you look at the pattern. Okay, who has all these successful Kickstarters so far? They're all buddies with like Ethan, Richard, and all that. Who's on the outs? Cummings, Ernst, and the rest. There's probably going to be more. If you're with them, you're with them. If you're not, you're against them, kind of in a way.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out the other day. Why all of a sudden it was like that. I was like, that's not how this is supposed to be.
Yeah. I love the fact that there are people in this community that really do create. They're not just watchers on YouTube. They're not just, fans. They're actually creators. And I think those people, you can reach them eventually, or not even reach them. They'll just eventually come around to the fact that this ain't benefiting me. Like, they'll benefit to a certain point. There's going to be that glass ceiling. Unless you're buddy with Ethan, Richard, and the rest of the crew, you're not going to get anywhere else. And then, like, who wants to work for those guys? Oh, I work with Splato Comics. So we got away from Marvel and DC, become our own bosses. Now you want to work for somebody else? What? You don't have to have a boss when making comics. Fucking Eastman and Laird, who created Ninja Turtles, which is a fucking parody of everything, of the Daredevil and X-Men and Ronin and all that. You have two guys who made a fucking empire. Sold it off too. That didn't hurt. A lot of people do that now. You make something, you sell it off. But I just don't see where the end game of this is.
Still immortalized, even though they sold it, though.
Exactly. But apparently they're nice people. Apparently they're really nice people. So what do I know? I mean,
Eastman, I think, has a website where he sells figurines that he autographs, like the original figurines. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, the original designs, like the old. I like that design much better than the what do you call it, the 2007. What was that 2007? That version, the CG was not
the
CGI,
more of the cartoony look. You mean?
Yeah, like not the kind of the happier face. You're like
cartoon. I was watching that earlier, man. I love that shit.
The 80s man looks great, man. The classic 80s animation, but it's just like everything else. The intro is much better than the actual animation in the episode. But I look at these people and I want them to. I want the people that are busting their ass to do well. But these only getting tapped because they're friendly with the right people. That's just the way the Marvel and DC are. You had people like the Eddie Berganza, that editor at DC, who was apparently one of the biggest creeps in the comics industry. And he was protected for years because he had the right connections with the right people. And this shit could happen all over again on a smaller scale, of course. But why would you let it? If it's like, everybody should be like city states. You and your creative team, and that's it. You might buddy with somebody else. And, hey, let's work on a project together. But don't try to motherfuck somebody. That's the biggest thing.
You got to form the clique, Larry.
The clique, yeah, that's right. The Wolf Pack, the NWO. But
you start booking your own matches, you start giving yourself the limelight you want. The people who don't fall in line, well, they can get the fuck out.
Yeah, and that right there, that's gonna be the biggest problem. Like, what are your biggest complaints, if you have any, of this whole situation? Because I've kind of ranted and maybe talked over you a little bit.
No, I just wish people would take the fire they bring to this internet sandbox called Twitter and applied it outside the box, because I don't feel like it really accomplishes much when we're all sitting around pissed off on Twitter or whatever you're using, because it stays there. Yeah,
it doesn't live off there. Like, I mean, I've had ideas birthed on Twitter and they made them reality. Like joking around about certain stuff, and it turned out to make into a comic strip or even a mini comic, and now I mean, Neon Trash was a idea I think it spitballed on Twitter and elsewhere a while back, but with commissions and everything else going on in between, taking up much of the time. And I actually went through 5 different. The last one was the 5th one I settled on, but 4 whole different stories before I settled on this 5th one to actually make the first story. It was like sometimes there's you have no
That's
ideas.
The process, dude.
Exactly. Sometimes you have 0 ideas. Sometimes you have too many, and you got to figure out which one will work best. And it's like I could do an origin story, but that's too fucking played out. And that's a lot of things. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people. I appreciate an origin eventually, but you don't have to make the first issue an origin. You know, that doesn't have to work that way. Like X-Men #1, yeah, it had an origin to it, kind of, sort of, but it wasn't hung up on it. They told the origin like 4 or 5 pages. I'll have the actual, I have the reprint right in front of me. This dollar store reprint of the first 3 issues of X-Men, and within, the 7th page, Magneto shows up. You know, it's like 1, 2, 3,
Money
4,
shot.
5,
That's why you're
6.
there, man.
Sorry, 9th page, Magneto shows up. So yeah, I forgot to count they count the front interior cover because they put the first page on that. It's like these little, they're about fucking 5 inches by 4 inches, little tiny comics, but the Kirby art still stands up. It's all black and white. But these kind of comic ideas, a lot of people, this decompression that Bendis brought about, oh fuck Bendis. He, like, anything, if he'd done his creator own stuff, Powers and what was the other one? Shit.
That's the only one. Yeah, that's the only one I can think of.
He did Powers. He also did Torso.
I know one of his creator-owned things
Goldfish.
Is now at fucking DC. I think it's actually Powers, I guess.
Oh wow! Well, Vertigo makes sense, I believe. Well, Mike Avon Oeming, I think, is already at DC working on certain stuff. Ain't that weird? Jimmy Palmiotti was like Joe Quesada's best dude and couldn't even get a fucking gig over it. He got a few gigs over Marvel. He did like a Shanna run and a couple other stuff, but that's about it. Daughters of the Dragon.
Shane of the She-Devil.
Yeah. Well, that right there, that run he did, he had to follow Frank Cho on Shanna the She-Devil. It's like, dude, no, you can't.
Nope.
Unless you got Frank
set
Cho
up for failure.
Yeah, he was. And that the Daughters of the Daughters of Dragon, Colleen Wing and Misty Knight. It was Kari Evans did the artwork, so it was all right. It was good artwork, but it didn't really hook me because I like the old school '70s version of those characters. You know, Luke Cage shows up, sees Iron Fist, and starts trying to beat the shit out of him, and Iron Fist is kicking support beams and collapsing a building on top of Luke Cage. I mean, great comic book shit. That right there is great.
That's why you read comic books.
Exactly, and these people, these oblivious fools, the best way to put them. There's no good comics out there. Go to the fucking back issue bins. There's always going to be something you haven't read that you can pay. You can get like back issues, usually 2 or 3 for what it would cost for a brand new comic from Marvel or DC. $4 or $5 for these books. They aren't worth it. Most of them aren't. Are you being served? Is that comic book satisfying? That's the biggest question right there. And most of them aren't. And I don't know. I want people to pick up these good books and even give books a try without having to, I kind of get a verdict. Like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, just think for yourself. If it's like $1 or $2, just buy it.
That's what I've been doing with Man of Steel. I mean, I'm not the world's biggest Bendis fan.
Yeah.
But I really like Superman, so I've told myself I'd give it a shot. I will say after this last issue, I'm a little hesitant because I don't like where the story's going. I don't like, certain aspects that I feel like have been glossed over as far as like his dad showing up. And at least I kind of perceive for myself that it seems like they don't know each other. And I know they just had, a story together right before Bendis showed up. So it seems a little weird to me.
Yeah, it's this idea of bringing a guy who, they associate with Marvel, Ultimate, Spider-Man and everything. But he pretty much invented writing for the trade. Now, granted, Warren Ellis did for the first Authority, collection, the first volume, I guess you'd say, that they recently released is all the Warren Ellis stories. Are the first arc is four issues. Second arc's 4 issues. Third arc's 4 issues. Warren Ellis was done with the Authority. All 12 issues done. But that was 4 issues, and they were nice and concise and didn't feel like there was filler in the comic. There was character development, there was action, there was all that. Bendis, there's whole issues where there's just like double-page splashes of talking heads. It is
how much shit can I ram in here?
Exactly. Speaking of Alias, there you go. You know, the first page of Alias with Jessica Jones getting reamed in the ass, and finding out that was he wanted that to be Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. He wanted to make Jessica Drew a drunk and just low down, and that is the biggest problem with these fucking comic people. Like this idea of bringing the glory back to characters. Luke Cage was a badass with a fucking yellow silk shirt and a metal tiara. He was like, Doom, bitch, give me my money. It's only $200,
dude.
It's a matter of principle. Luke Cage didn't need sweet motherfucking Christmas. He didn't need that shit. You had to go and fuck it up. Why? But I love the fact that you have these comics out there, but nobody pays attention. They know more about these shitty comic writers and artists. Oh, this guy blocked this person. This guy blocked this. Well, how about the guy that's probably been dead for a while, but he has great comics out there, or the guy that may not have been heard of? He's out there busting his ass, and you don't give a shit. Who gives a shit about him? He's just busting his ass and making good comics. Doesn't matter because shitty comics. Now that's the important part. That's important. Buy what you love, ignore what you hate. Don't pick it up. Don't waste your money. Like hate reading. That hate reading bullshit is so annoying. But people do it. It's like watching a movie. Like, oh, I think this movie's gonna be bad. Yeah, it was bad, but I had to go see it for myself.
I needed to cut myself a couple of times, and
I need to cut myself to feel. Fucking exactly. These people, a lot of them are doped up on drugs. Some people say, well, Larry should be on drugs too. Like, fuck, caffeine's enough.
Let's get you on some drugs, Larry.
Caffeine in life.
We'll get you leveled up.
But it is a beneficial thing to have back issues when it comes to comic shops. Most comic shops, if they want you to be coming in on a regular basis. So if you can get there, buy the fucking back issues, buy the trade paperbacks. You don't have to blow your load in there, but you're moving product for them. To go in that back issues and pick up something you have never read. Like I picked up I think it was Uncanny X-Men 264. It was had Jim Lee cover by Mark Silvestri interiors. It's during the Exile, when the X-Men were quote unquote dead. It's Patch, Psylocke, and Jubilee. They're in Madripoor, and there's this mercenary team after them.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And I'd never read that issue. I thought I had and never read it. $1.50 at my comic shop.
Boom.
Fucking how can you go wrong? And actually it was actually less than that because they were doing the shop's the exterior is being renovated and they're trying to get as much, get much people come in as possible and giving discounts and everything. And right there's no excuse. Like most shops will make you a deal, especially if you drive from a great distance. They'll make you a deal. Any decent shop, anyways. But there are so many good comics out there. Barry Windsor Smith, Alan Davis. But another thing, Marvel is really bad about DC is too, about keeping these books in print. So finding the trade paperbacks of these or hardcovers is almost a fucking nightmare. You have to go to eBay and shit. But is there anything in like comics kind of bring you back to like something from like kind of like a lesser known book that you think people should be aware of?
Huh. I can't think of anything right. I mean, no, I couldn't suggest anything to anyone to read right now.
Yeah, like Clandestine by Alan Davis. It was a series that he did. It was a 12-issue series, if I'm not mistaken, that he wrote and illustrated. It's really weird. It's very British. It feels like it's a very British book. And by that, I mean it's compressed, but also has very stylish pages at the same time. Because a lot of these people, they came from working on 2000 AD and Warrior Magazine, which were like you had to tell a story in like six pages, not 22, not 20, not 16, but 6. And the British writers, when they used to cut their teeth on 2000 AD Warrior Magazine and whatever else they had going on. Crisis Magazine, which I think was a spinoff from Rebellion, but they learned how to tell a story concisely, tell a very dense story. And a few comics today, this decompression where you pick up a first issue and all it is world building. I fucking hate that. That right there, we should fucking go to war over world building comics.
Well, you know? I think in this time and age, with all the comic books and how long they've been going, I feel like these worlds have been built. It's like, why not utilize what's already been, you know, the rich history of some of these books instead of trying to really forget about it, you know, and then try to world build again, in which I feel like that bores the shit out of, you know, people trying to come in and start reading something. I mean, in my opinion,
yeah, you're
I feel
not
like
wrong.
It's like that.
Well, even if it's a brand new comic series, unless you're doing something extremely weird, you don't have to world build, because really, stories are supposed to be about the character, you know. So, yeah, I look at it as a potential wasted. You have that first issue to hook a reader and want them to pick the book up continuously. Not wait for the trade, not, you know, like, I might pirate this down the line.
I'll be back in 6 months to clean out my little pull shelf, I guess, or whatever.
That's why I don't even have one anymore. I don't even bother, because so many books are just, they're not worth picking up on a monthly basis for the most part.
I think the last time I did that was Countdown.
Yeah,
many books from Countdown. God.
Oh my God, you're dealing with what? Weekly series. Then you had the tie-ins. Sweet Jesus,
I was getting blood dry, dude.
Dude, 50. You know what? That reminds me of 52. Speaking of Countdown, there's a guy in the chat, DC Fans United. He's been doing a series of. He's been doing all the Countdown books. He's a fucking madman.
There's so many. There's so many.
he's doing them all like in order. I'm like, he's out of his. I'm like, dude, you're out of your fucking mind. But whatever. He's a good dude. Yeah, Countdown is your shit.
I like Countdown. I'm not saying I dislike
52 is so much better though. 52 is the greatest weekly series ever done. Because you like all that talent.
52 was the older brother. I get it, man.
Yeah, man. What gets me is you had this super team, like once in a lifetime super team. And like, granted, I know people fucking hate Mark Waid. They hate him. Like, I mean, there's people that wish him dead. They won't say it, but there's probably people that do. But Mark Waid, Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison, and Greg Rucka, all before fucking Twitter blew. I think before Twitter existed.
All before the internet revealed these people and what they are when they're not writing comic books.
Yeah, and had amazing art. The series had the books, all these weekly comics. They had the rotating art teams and everything, and the origins in the back. That right there was fucking great.
That was some good stuff. I totally agree. That's the kind of stuff that helps new readers. It's like, hey, you know, here's something I've never seen before, you know?
Yeah. It's this idea of these creators, like, you know, like kind of like, oh, now that I don't like them now, that means all their stuff is shit. That's fucking childish. It's like people call you man babies and stuff like that. And I'm not man baby, I'm grown man.
I haven't burned my Mark Waid comic books.
Dude, I actually bought one recently. I mean, like 2 months ago. I've been working on getting around to it. Hunter Killer, the Top Cow book. Because I read the Cyberforce Hunter Killer book, which is actually a sequel to that. So I read the sequel before watching the. It's like fuck. My first Star Trek movie was Voyage Home. I remember watching that on fucking
That's
HBO.
Good. That's a good place to start.
Yeah, the fucking end of a trilogy. No Enterprise. You know,
you're not getting filled for anything that makes wow.
Dude, but then my this it got me hooked because it was like there's no backs. Like they alluded to what happened before. Spock was dead. The Enterprise is destroyed. They're on the run. They got to return for punishment. So it's like you start down at the bottom and then you move your way up. And it's just I loved it. I loved it. But I picked up the Cyberforce Hunter Killer, loved it because it had Kenneth Rocafort doing the artwork, Mark Waid writing. Mark Waid also wrote Hunter Killer, and I just recently read that's 13 issues, issues 0 through 12, and fuck, dude, it is amazing. It's like better, honestly, probably one of the greatest things Mark Waid ever wrote because it's X-Men, but not X-Men. It's like, very similar themes and character stuff, but without being certain things. It's like you can do like how Incredibles is like the best Watchmen movie because it's not Watchmen, and Donnie Darko is like a great superhero film because it's not really a superhero film. You know what I'm saying?
But it's got that, I guess, that process,
yes,
but not in the way that you're accustomed to.
Yeah, it's this idea of putting the characters out there without having all that one-to-one comparison. Like, okay, there's a guy kind of like Wolverine, I guess you could say, but he goes invisible. His name's Wolf, and there's a couple other, Wolf. He's Jack Nicholson pissing on James Spader's shoe. But this idea of Mark Waid, like, oh, all this stuff is written as bad. Like, there are a lot of people that carry that connotation, and it's like, have you ever read his books? Oh, he threatened to kick Zack's ass. I'm not gonna put up with this shit.
Have you read the books, though?
Exactly.
Have you seen this man's work?
And that right there, like, Mark Waid is one of the, like, there's certain people I could separate certain people for certain things. I could separate the art from the artist, and because I met Mark Waid in person at Heroes Con, many years ago, and I talked to him for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. It felt like a lot longer. Mine was only like 5 and it felt like 20. It was around lunchtime, so there wasn't that many people around, but just talking to Mark Waid. And he was a cool dude. He was a nice guy. Same thing with Eric Larson. He gave me a free fucking sketch of Ben Grimm thing. Because he was doing free sketches at the time. I'm like, this is great with that weird way he holds his pen. And he was a cool dude too, just to talk to. These people, online, totally different. Maybe the person online is a real person. In the convention, they just put a good mask on. I don't know. But I look at this idea of, okay, you're just going to blanket statement, all Mark Waid books and everything associated with him is trash. I'll never touch it. If he raped somebody or a child molester, yeah, that's fine. I understand. Like, that's like, I don't watch any of the fucking Roman Polanski films, and fuck Woody Allen. Fuck that shit.
Fuck that shit.
These assholes, like, fucking, if they're popular in France, they shouldn't be trusted. That's why I never really liked Jerry Lewis. I never really liked Jerry Lewis because I had this theory: if you're popular in France, then there's something must be very wrong with you. look who's popular: Roman Polanski, Woody Allen. It's like it's kind of a haven for peds, for well, shit. I mean, the same country that gave us Cyberpunk and gave us great comic artists, also the same country that happens to be a breeding ground for horrible things. Also gave America freedom. America didn't do the Revolutionary War alone. We basically a proxy.
We did it alone. No,
yeah,
you're reading the wrong book, Larry.
See, that's so fucked up. I wanted to comment on that, but it's like, just get into it. Like yesterday, it's like, I love America. Don't get me wrong. I love America. There's a lot of fucked up things in America. Yes, of course. This idea of like, oh, everything's perfect, nothing's wrong, shut the fuck up or leave the country. If you don't like it, leave it. And this idea that the American Revolution wasn't a revolution; it was a goddamn civil war. And it's like the rebels won. The rebels won and kicked all the loyalists out. We were a proxy war for the fucking French. The French wanted to fight a war with Britain, but without having to fight a war with Britain outright. So we were proxy. Basically, the revolution was basically Vietnam, the Vietnam War, but not Vietnam. It's like
it wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty. People getting killed and people losing their homes for good because you just happen to be on the wrong side. It's like, I don't want to throw tea into the Boston Harbor. Fuck you, get out of here. And it was a nation built by terrorists. We were fucking terrorists. That's how we won. The British fought in very strict things. We were like, fuck that shit. Kill the captains, kill the majors. That's why they're bringing in mercenaries, the fucking Hessians. Because, like, oh, fuck this. We're going to fight. If they want to fight dirty, we'll fight dirty, but we'll get somebody else to do it for us. What do I think about Ender's Game? Oh, you mean Orson Scott Card, Miller #1. Orson Scott Card, yes, he has. He's anti-homosexual, even though Ender's Game has a lot of homoerotic stuff happen in it. Which I found it funny. Like, if you're very homoerotic, like a very anti-homo, anti-gay, we would call it, your work usually has a lot of homoerotic stuff in it. It's like I like the theory about Top Gun being a secret gay film. Sword fight, sword fight.
You leave Top Gun alone.
Top Gun ain't got nothing on Iron Eagle, man.
Iron Eagle's a good movie.
Iron Eagle's a great movie. The fucking best soundtrack ever. Dude, you got Queen, you got Dio, you got King Cobra,
Maybe the perfect storm.
Well, I don't know. Like, how many movies where two guys just go and bomb a country, start war with a sovereign
just casually nation, leave and go get it done, no problem.
Steal two planes, nobody gives a shit.
Here's
well,
the
they do give a shit, but
make sure you fill it up when you get back.
if you go back,
because his dad, dude. It was his dad.
I know, man, and that's the reason I love that, because there's so few movies, especially today, where it's actually. Yeah, his father's strict because his son's a fuck up. The dude's willing to race another man on a fucking chopper. Oh, sorry, a dirt bike. Raced a snake 50 feet off the ground in a fucking Cessna. There's Devil's Face. That's where Jimmy Branson bought it. Like, you dumb motherfucker.
Somebody and that's where I'm going.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you stupid fuck. It's like his son's a hothead, That's why he dies in the second one. But yeah, the Ender's Game, the comics. I never read the novels. I did watch the movie, but it didn't bother me. Like, this idea, like, a lot of people that have openly problems with, like, homosexuals, that, like, I understand that. I don't like it. There's nothing. Women don't want to change their mind. Women going to electrocute them for thinking the wrong thoughts. That's
you're going to get tuned up.
If you're going to get tuned up, they're going to come after you with a dildo bat. It's dildo baseball bat, a la Saints Row. They're gonna whip you with that. But yeah, it's like this idea. Like, Ender's Game has great concept, poor execution, because everything's so cold and sterile. But yeah, like growing up reading comics and loving getting comics from the dollar stores, and like where they had the 3-pack bundle, which Peter Simeti explained that those didn't sell.
You used to get that at KB Toys. We used to get the little bundle of comics.
X-Men $20.99, Spider-Man $20.99.
Yeah, you just get a whole bunch of all kinds of just whatever, Well,
apparently that was their overstock. They printed so much that was their overstock. But if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have got comics. I would have just been without, because they just don't.
Same here. Yeah.
Like 60 miles to a fucking comic book store. Like, that's ridiculous.
My parents weren't. My dad, my mom, they wasn't going to take me to Dallas to buy a comic book. It was, hey, we can go to Eckerd, we can go to the drugstore, and they got some.
Yeah, they either have them in the magazine rack, or the magazine where the magazines were. They'd have them in spinner racks if they had spinner racks, or they had them hanging on the
spinner rack, dude. Yeah, that's what we had in the Eckerd.
We had one at the Rite Aid. We had one at the Rite Aid, and I used to can we go by the Rite Aid? What do you need? I need comics. I wasn't gonna fucking lie. I got to get like a $5 bill. The first comic I ever picked up off the spinner rack was X-Men Adventures Season 3, number 1. That's the one with Lady Deathstrike's tits hanging out on the cover. And like the interior,
these are here.
Dude, it's no fucking joke, because if you watch the episode, the comic's based on, they had to add the white, like the blouse to cover her cleavage. Like, there's like no bra. It's just her tits hanging there. It's like something out of like and apparently the animators read the previously on X-Men, the hardcover book that what is his name? Eric and Julia Lewald, who were like the producers on the X-Men show, put together the book that has like all the interviews with all the, like, pretty much the animators, writers, the voice actors, and it's just like, it was kind of cool to have this background, like information. And apparently Stan Lee wanted to fucking sabotage. He was basically going to sabotage the X-Men, doing the whole, I have to do the intro to the show. I have to do the theme song has to have lyrics, and he was going to write the lyric.
I made this.
Exactly.
I'm going to be a part of it.
he was like that. Fucking egomaniacal shithead. He hadn't had anything to do with X-Men in what? 70, like 20 some odd years, like 20 years, like 70 something is when it went in hiatus. You know, like this, it just,
Well, hey, I hate to be that asshole, Larry, but if that was me, I'd done the same thing.
well, y'all insist you have to go in there and do the fucking lyrics for the X.
Yes, I'm
X-Men.
singing every word, and then you'll credit me
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah. I just liked it. What was your first comic, dude? What was your first, do you remember? Or it's like,
My first comic
that you bought,
was
that you bought yourself?
the first one I bought myself. I would say Spawn 13.
Not bad. That was like, well, I think I actually have that in the trade
I
paperback.
still remember my dad. My dad went in because we had a grocery store right beside the Eckerd of Brookshire's, and he went down there and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "You hurry up and pick what you want." He's like, "If you're not outside, it's not going to be good."
I'll go in there and rip you out of here.
Yeah, so I went in there and I grabbed that Spawn 13 because the Superman books they had and the Batman stuff I'd already had. They hadn't switched that out, but the Spawn was something I had not seen there before, so I grabbed it.
Yeah, I had the same situation with there was a Spider-Man Adventures, which Spider-Man Adventures sucked compared to the X-Men Adventures books. And I picked up the Spider-Man Adventures. There was nothing else, like still $1.50 or $1.25, whatever it was. And
Art wasn't very consistent in that book.
no, X-Men books, the art was pretty consistent for surprisingly so. And I liked it. I liked the X-Men Adventures art. Really good. It was really good. I didn't have every single issue of that. Most the issues I wanted. But yeah, it's this idea of going into a shop, like going to someplace that isn't a comic store, just a random place, and picking up comics. And I miss that. I miss that idea. I know they're trying to bring it back, but unless you can charge $1.50 a comic or $2 tops, I don't see it working. Nobody wants to pay $4 on a spinner rack. It's especially for 30 pages that most of them are ads. So this makes no fucking sense. Like, why would you like? What do you think would be a good price for comics?
Yeah, I will say the $2-3 range.
Yeah,
$3 being maybe pushing it, but I mean, I do understand that they've got to make money. The beast is much larger than it used to be. So I guess either way, I don't know. I feel like it's a tough choice.
I think if a small company like Alterna can put out $1.50 comics and still keep the lights on, there's no excuse.
They are
like
keeping the lights on. You are right. Yeah, definitely.
And it's one dude. I was like, he's gonna have an assistant. He's gonna say like maybe his wife helps him and this and that. No, it's just him. I'm like,
damn.
How the fuck? I wanted to cuss on the stream. I was like, how the fuck do you do that? I want to say you're lying, man. Call him a liar right before his birthday.
Where are the elves at?
Where are the fucking elves, man? Where are the elves? God damn it! They're Nazis, like the Red Letter Media. The Nazi elves.
Oh God, that's not good. Nope.
And Grizzly Adams is going to have to fight Nazi elves.
This shit's about to be over with.
Oh my God! But that's what's so fucked up is if he could do that, and he's offering, if this actually comes through, if he does this, he is going to motherfuck a lot of people that should be motherfucked. There are certain people that you just to motherfuck somebody out of the blue, that's fucked up. But you have these people that have this idea of print on demand. Oh, you have to be a certain level. You have to raise all this money, but he's going to supposedly at least the minimum will be 500 copies for $250. 32 page newsprint comics, possibly color interiors, because they're offset printing. Because all it's doing is adding. He's already got to print so many that for the newsprint. And I think it's printed in Oregon, not mistaken, somewhere in Oregon. It's some printer, so it's American made, American product. Not this made in Canada or China bullshit, but made in America. And this idea of you could sell a comic for at very least, it costs you 50 cents for 50 cents per copy. But you have to buy at least $250 worth. And I think that might include shipping. Maybe not. Even at $300 to get 500 offset printed comics normally would be like a couple thousand, like 1,200. 13. So imagine going from that to $250. and imagine somebody that's doing independent comics, like, you know, Matt, you want to do a comic that's basically Cyborg Superman, like Cyborg Superman and Superboy teamed up and they went on adventures with like hot babes and dinosaurs and shit like that.
I feel like there's still bad blood there between the two of those guys. I don't know how you work that out.
I'm saying like a comic like that. It's like kind of a love-hate relationship. It's like, it's not Superboy.
You're talking a lethal weapon type situation.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like kind of an odd couple, super odd couple. You know, one tries to kill me, I try to kill you. You know how it goes. But this kind of comic from you could get it made for 50 cents for a 32-page comic, say full color, and you could sell it for $1.52 and still make profit, plenty of profit. For if you sell it for $2, or hell, if you want to sell it for more, include shipping or whatever, you could make a killing off that. You know, I just like the idea that he's actually been he is offering solutions. No one's offered solutions. Not Richard, not Ethan, none of them. None of them have offered solutions.
I think because he's outside of the animal, I think.
I look at it this way. They got theirs. Fuck everything else. They'll just beat the drum when they need to, but they got theirs. They've made more. Both of them together have made nearly $1 million. You know,
because it's not. I don't feel like it was never about saving comic books.
No, it's about
talking about the stuff they hated, the stuff they liked.
Yeah, exactly. But mostly what they hated and starting shit with people, stirring shit. And like, you know, it's roasting you, man. I'm just roasting you. Hey, people are going to hustle that way. You know, that right there, that's people are going to hustle. So don't hate the game, this shit, you know, or a player. Don't hate the player. In this case, it is a hater because there's a lot of fucking hate flying around. Oh God, I hate a lot of things though. But that's irony coming from me. I hate everything. DC Fans United is like, Larry, you hate everything. I don't fucking hate everything. I love Tron Legacy. I love Man of Steel. You know, I love Rocketeer, The Shadow. You know, pretty much all forms.
It's
of
okay
Shadow.
For you to hate stuff. It's all right.
Exactly. It makes what I love much stronger.
If you liked everything, I feel like there's something wrong with you.
Dude, there's a lot of people like that. Like, oh, this is great. I think this is going to be fantastic. Why the fuck do you even... Like, if everything's great and fantastic, you're probably on drugs. You're probably on pills. Everything's amazing to you. You know, you will have like 5 things.
How do you get that leveled out? No.
No, exactly. It's like, how are you not comatose from being so in bliss at the moment? I could prove I love more than 5 things. All right, we got Man of Steel, the Tron Legacy, American Flag, Hellboy, DC New Frontier, the comic, not the fucking movie. That movie not that good. Batman 89. When we also have Shadow, Spawn, the comics, Rocketeer. We have Oblivion, Live, Die, Repeat, Magnificent Seven, Ghost in the Shell, Evil Dead, Return of the Living Dead, Dracula, the James Whale directed Dracula, or was it James Whale, or was it somebody else? He actually was Todd Browning. Sorry, he directed Freaks, Google Gobble, One of Us, Goku Midnight Eye, Lone Wolf and Cub. There you go, dude. Beat you. You can't prove. Boom, boom.
He does. He does love. He's not a robot.
Yes, Man of Steel, the movie, not the comic. Yes, I am not a robot. I have human emotions. But like, do you feel that? Like, okay, have you been reading Doomsday Clock?
I think I stopped reading 3 months ago. Whenever they announced
they didn't get you
delays. There was already a delay before that, and I'm pretty sure I told you and Perch that I was like, "Hey, whatever, I'll just get the trade." You
didn't
cash me
you
outside.
Didn't get fooled, dude. Oh no, you didn't. I might actually have to hang up on you now. No, but what's so funny is everyone else I've talked to that's been reading it. Well, I've already spent $25 on it. Why not some more money? Like, they're already like in for a penny, in for a pound. You're like, fuck this noise. I'll wait for the trade.
Like, I've already spent enough. I decided. I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't like that large span of time between these stories. You know what I mean? Maybe I got a low attention span. I don't know. I don't think
Yeah.
that's the point. I don't feel like you there's a reasonable amount of time I feel like comic books should be coming out in order to keep their audience entertained, especially in this time and age with the internet where I can instantly gratify myself immediately. You know,
Yeah.
it's a tough battle, but comic books I feel like as a medium can still push back against that if stuff is put out in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
There's
There's no
still enough
excuse.
people who prefer this, you know, this method over, you know, something else.
There's no
People still want it.
shit. Yeah. There's no like you might still want it. Like me, maybe when it comes out, I might get it on discount. I'm not going to pay full price for it. That's for damn sure. But $60 is what it'll cost if you bought it every single issue. So is that trade going to cost $50 hardcover or whatever? Like just
Oh, I hope so, dude. Man, it's gonna fucking get me. I can feel it.
they're going to fucking hit you, man. It's like the sequel to
Oh,
Watchmen.
you wanted to wait, asshole.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're gonna fuck you. They're gonna motherfuck a lot of people. At that point, just make it a fucking absolute edition. If it's gonna cost if it's gonna cost $60 for every single issue, just make it a fucking absolute edition already. But Gary Frank, I like Gary Frank, but his art isn't worth that weight. You know, like they honestly they should have just said, Dave Gibbons, how much would you take to actually draw this again? like how fucked up would it be just to have him draw the sequel to Watchmen? Maybe he said no.
Where's Alan Moore?
Oh,
Somewhere.
Alan Moore is out
like, you did what?
Alan Moore's like I think he's just checked out. He just still does his League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, a couple of witchcraft, sorcery, whatever the fuck they are, black magic books, and he's just checked out everything else. It's like the dude, but I'll say this one thing: he hates the industry, does not hate fans, from what I understand. From what I've seen, he doesn't like go out. He doesn't attack fans because he doesn't really have an online presence at all. It's like he's out, he's doing his thing. But
He's sending
like
people
that.
letters. I don't like your comments.
It's like got like a Santa Claus style bag just full of letters replying to people like his good hate comment from, but it's like really wordy.
In reference to your IGN comment back in June of 2013.
Like I. God almighty. He's just going through all line. Like he has like a Google alerts if you type in like Alan Moore. He just has like, all right, another one. Got to write another one.
Damn it.
But you get this idea of creators like like well, creators treat somebody decently that makes them great. It isn't just decently. Like because I asked Mitch, Mitch Breitweiser is like, why wasn't March 19th? And we talked about that earlier when we started streaming. And he, March 2019 and everything, and he got back to me and like like him, Elizabeth, Mark Pellegrini, the guy who's the writer they're working with, they've been very nice people. I've had somewhat conversations with them, but
I've seen the art you've been doing for him. Yeah,
that
definitely tell.
It was fun. It was really fun to do, and like to actually have not just hey thanks, like a little brief thing, but like a little bit back and forth. That's great. That's like
Human interaction. You didn't twist somebody's arm for that, Larry.
Exactly. It's like a comic book convention experience, a good comic convention experience, not being treated like a piece of shit. After
if you're using a social media thing, it's because you want to interact. You can't just be merely a here's all my stuff. I'm not going to talk to you. I don't really care what your opinion is. I don't feel like that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, it's just, but that's the thing. Like, it's not supposed to work like treating people like shit. It's like that's why I follow only certain people, especially like creators and stuff. You have to the majority talk about what you do or maybe your creative process or share what you do. But like, it doesn't say you can't never talk about politics. You can't talk about movies and whatever, music, sports. But if you're mostly politics or just mostly shit talking people, like it gets aggravating after a while. Like, what's the point of following? What's the point of wif you're following a person? What's the point of muting them?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you playing this game?
Yeah.
Why are you playing this game? Why are you doing that?
Because
it doesn't make sense.
It's not worth it in the end. And avid comic reader. All you need is Kill, the manga that the Live Die Repeat Edge of Tomorrow is based on. The manga, I liked it a lot, but the movie's much better. I found the movie as being much better. Usually, you would think the otherwise. The DC New Frontier is better than the animated movie, but the problem with the comic, it's much more depressing. And if you want something depressing, fine. If you need to feel something, like that's how you go after something depressing to
you
feel.
need to grab my heart.
you need to cut me. This book cuts me, and not paper cuts. Arms wide open, it's like Scott Stapp turning into a Hulk Hogan there. But eat your prayers, say your vitamins.
Say your prayers and eat your vitamins.
Then he'd do it all wrong. He'd just do it backwards because he's drunk and shit. But like, I love the fact that more people are getting into making comics. Maybe because they're seeing other people do it. But there is no real right or wrong way. And I'd love more people to do the kind of do-it-yourself comics, because until Peter Simeti brings out that $250 500 copy offset printed newsprint comic thing, I'm gonna fucking hop on board with that shit. I'll learn the pre-press and all that other bullshit just so I can get some comics made up, so I can actually have a bunch of newsprint comics, because that shit right there, to be able to go from making it, that will be cheaper than the comics for Neon Trash that I'm making, because I'm having to do this shit by hand, and it'll be a hell of a lot easier and it'd be much cheaper and bigger than the comics I can make now.
There's not a way for you to do the research right now and figure it out?
Well, because I don't know
what not trading the secrets.
I don't know yet. That's the whole thing. I don't think he's talked about it. Like, kind of, I guess, getting feelers out there, seeing what people think. Because you could assume that everybody would be on board for that, but he's getting a lot of pushback from Marvel, or not Marvel, sorry, Image, mainly like Eric Larson and a couple other people, and I don't know if they're feeling threatened, because if you're charging $4 or $5 a book, these creators like Jim Lee and the rest of the guys that jumped ship to create Image, they were getting paid like around $100,000 a year in like 91 money, 92.
That was rock star status back then. Yeah,
that was a huge status, exactly. So I'm thinking, if these creators are making a ton of money, let's say, and because maybe there's bonuses involved too, and this and that. If you could, have other people, like, it's like, well, if look at like nukes, like, well, if I have these nukes, then they're no longer special. If everybody else has nukes, if you only have these high quality comics, which not really high quality to begin with, kind of shines a light on the bullshit. It's like, hey, if this indie guy can make comics cheaper than Marvel and DC, something's wrong here. But
it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah,
that's what it is. They're still big corporations at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Big corporations that are owned by even bigger corporations that are focused solely on making money.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of the times when they do certain shit that seems so stupid, like, making making Falcon Cap, they're just doing that so they have, it was already in the comics if they do it in the movies. Like, hey, Chris Evans is being a little uppity over here. Okay, well, we can get Anthony Mackie to be Captain America because we already did it in the comics. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it seems like as cold as that sounds, it seems very plausible, very believable. Same thing with before Watchmen.
I'll take Anthony Mackie as Captain America. I like that guy. He's a good actor.
I like him too, but I haven't watched any of the Marvel movies for quite a while now, because you
didn't go see the last one, the Thanos?
No.
It was good. It was a great comedy. I mean, I went in knowing what I was going to get, and I wasn't.
Oh, you mean Ant-Man Wasp or something?
I hadn't gotten to see that yet.
I don't even know if that's out yet, but
I think comes out the 7th. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know.
You mean Avengers Infinity War or whatever?
I did go see that. I liked it.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
I have no I want to just enjoy movies and not feel like, oh well, I have to go in there and because I lost interest. Like, really, what killed interest for me was Guardians of the Galaxy. That killed me. The first one. I was like, all right, I'm done.
That broke you.
It's like light comedy bullshit. It's this, like Indiana Jones.
You didn't like with all the music, and then the jokes,
the music,
like the Trash Panda.
When I
The
listened to
raccoon
that
sells it,
scene,
man.
the raccoon should have
Give
been
me
British.
3.5 hours of raccoon talking, and I can handle that.
We should have got some. We should have got some British voice acting. Oh, Mr. Marvel's over here. Thank you for joining, Mr. Marvel, in the chat. But yeah, we're dealing with let's say a industry right now, movie industry, that really only has two things: DC, and they're faltering because they're trying to play catch up with Marvel. God, imagine if that George Miller Justice League movie actually happened in 2007.
Do you think that would have been a good thing?
I honestly do, because even if it would have been kind of a mess,
those costumes didn't look very good.
That Wonder Woman,
I realized that was. Yeah, I will say the Wonder Woman costume wasn't bad, but I didn't like the rest of those, even though they were, I guess, early mock-ups or whatever.
But did you notice that basically the costumes look like the Injustice video game costumes?
There's a little, yeah. I was thinking those costumes looked somewhat familiar.
I looked at it like, you know what? As weird as it might be, because you got to think they would have had two Batmans at the same time. They'd had the Christopher Nolan Batman, and they'd had the Armie Hammer Batman.
People are gonna get confused.
I don't think so. There's Justice League Batman, and then it's like you can do like Christ on Infinite Earths, kind of thing. It's like that's one Earth, and the Nolan films are another.
There's two Batmans.
There's two Batmans. I'm Batman.
There's two Flashes. Oh my god.
Well, it's so weird that they were gonna the Adrian Brody. They were gonna cast a pale brunette to do with brown hair as that was going to be the first time they're going to cast one. No, they already did it first. Sorry, for John Wesley Shipp as Flash. Barry Allen's supposed to be tall and blonde. Nope, we John Wesley Shipp. You're tall, yes, but not blonde. And then you're going to get the Adrian Brody, not Adrian Brody, Adam Brody, and he won't tall, and he was brown hair. Same thing with Grant Gustin, not tall, brown hair, and that Ezra Miller, not tall, brown hair. It's like you're casting Wally West, if not Bart Allen. Like the last couple times they cast Bart Allen instead of Barry Allen.
I feel like they're casting a character which is like a combination of all of them instead of trying just to cast for a particular Flash. Yeah, I wish that's what they would do. I'm not looking for a Barry Wally hybrid because I know that Barry and Wally are both pretty different in how they have been, laid out in the comic books anyway, as far as how they operate.
Ezra Miller was AIDS in Justice League. He was. The only time he was good in that film was a scene where the Justice League was tackling Superman, and Flash is running up behind him, and Superman just starts turning his head like, "Oh, you think you slick, motherfucker?" And he's like, "Oh shit!" And that was the best.
You're fast, but I see you.
that right there was creepy. I like that. But this,
the head tilt when the weird lip looking, yeah, that definitely scared me a little bit, dude.
I think that right there. I don't think it was the lip was weird in that scene. I only saw the movie once in the theater.
I feel like they should go back and fix it and then re-release it. It can be fixed. There's got to be a way to do it. I've seen good CG.
Worse, did you see what they did for that? Somebody put the GIF out there. I retweeted it. It's a GIF from the trailer for that new Mission Impossible film with Henry Cavill, where he's rolling up his sleeves or doing something, and it goes from
fight in the bathroom during the trailer.
Yeah, it's like full beard. He's got a werewolf transformation. Henry Cavill's a goddamn werewolf.
This is the movie I want to see.
Yeah, I was I'd rather Henry Cavill is a werewolf beating the shit out of somebody in a bathroom. All right, actually, that's a second bathroom fight. If you count Man from U.N.C.L.E., because he's the fighting Man from U.N.C.L.E. With, Armie
when they first meet each other before they realize they got to work together.
Yeah, but Miller #1 for once. I agree with Larry. The Marvel movies have gotten dull. Well, thanks for once. No one.
There you go. You mark that in the win column.
Right there. You know what? One win, 587,223 losses. I mean, but this idea of this. Marvel doing, they're kind of at the bottom of the barrel at this point. You gotta admit, Ant-Man, Wasp, Miss Marvel, I mean, they blew their load with Black Panther. There's no more Black Panther villains.
They're
They had
bringing it back. I think they already said they're bringing back Killmonger or whoever. They're
just
bringing
gonna
it back.
they're going to keep bringing back the same villains. See, I like Black Panther as a concept, as a character. Hell no, it just doesn't work because it's okay. He's a super scientist. He's a ruler of a country that's hidden. Super. Well, now not hidden in the movies, but super. The science and all this technology, and he has a super suit, and he can do all the. And not only does he have a super suit, but he has enhanced abilities because of drugs. Or he takes drugs to get stronger.
Magic.
Magic. And I think you may get a Namor movie, Major Tom, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, Universal is the same kind of deal with Hulk. Like, to make
You'll
a Namor
never see
movie,
a solo Hulk movie. It's not.
No, and you'll probably never see a solo Namor movie because it's like you could do Namor, but they'd have to.
I need Namor for an X-Men movie, Larry. I need it.
Yeah.
As crappy as that it's going to be, I need it.
Eventually, I have a feeling they're going to reboot everything once they get all the, because with the
They're
mergers
give
complete.
Me a Namor movie without the X-Men. That's what they'll do.
I wouldn't. You want Namor to join the X-Men?
Yes.
Really?
I love that forever. I want to see it.
Do you want? Okay, and let me guess. You don't think it's too hard for them to CGI the wings on his ankles, do you?
There's gonna be wings, Larry. If they don't do it, I'm out. I need it.
Yeah.
That's part of the look. The ears, the eyebrows, and the wings on the feet. That shit's got to be intact.
No, it's just
somebody out there is gonna be wearing a prosthetic, or it's not getting done.
You need it to all be practical.
None of we've seen the CG, Larry. We see that it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes a mustache is too hard, and I'm worried that eyebrows might be too hard.
Just have them just shave them off and draw them on like permanent marker.
We're gonna glue this to your head.
Here, glue this carpet to your head, and we have like the pointed, the widow's peak with that little
Here's the bag of
flat top. Namor's flat top. Like, okay, who do you like more, Namor or Aquaman?
Man, Namor.
Like, okay, see, I like Aquaman more. The main reason, because Aquaman is a lot like Batman. You could do something very serious and like the kind of the Peter David run, where he lost his hand and all this, and kind of you get really serious, and you can do like the comic book version where he's going on adventures under the sea with Aqualad, all that, and like what they kind of adapted for the Brave and the Bold, where he's, oh my gosh, chum, and I'm happy-go-lucky Aquaman, and here's my family.
You're talking about the big barrel-chested guy?
Yes, with beard, like the
super royal.
Yeah,
but super swashbuckler. Yeah,
that works. Either one works for me. And this idea of Aquaman, oh, he's lame. Oh, Aquaman, oh, he talks to fish. The dude lives at the bottom of the sea. Have you seen what's at the bottom of the sea? You see what's in the water: jellyfish, great white sharks, giant.
It's a whole nother world.
It's an alien world, and the idea of like, oh, that's just silly. And like, it's just imagine like, oh, it's silly. Aquaman could do nothing like that. And they make jokes about that. But the only reason when they make jokes about that in the comic, it's really stupid. It's like you don't have to. It's like shining a light on something you don't have to shine a light on. It's like, see this woman? She's got this lazy eye. You don't point it out.
Point it out. Let it be.
Let it be. You're going to notice either way. Like, oh, I never noticed. And just be kind about it, not be like,
excuse me while I make a YouTube video about that. No.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, have you noticed? Like this thing is like I've seen some of these people as of late. It's like, the new director of Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie, whatever it's called, the sequel to Homecoming. Apparently, he was supporting Antifa or saying "fight the Nazis" or something. Oh, yeah, who gives a shit?
That's cool. I didn't need to know all that, but I did see that the other day.
Yeah, it's like, but the thing about it is, Richard, Diversity Comics, Zach.
I saw him beat the drum, dude. Yeah,
beat the drum, and then these people because then the director told Richard to fuck off. And people are like, how dare he? And it's before 4th of July.
He knew this was going to happen. He knew
exactly.
what he was
That's
doing.
what he wanted, and it's like exactly what he wanted. And it's like, how dare there's people, how dare he say this before 4th of July into a veteran?
He knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, veterans aren't a protected class, and if you want to be pissed about something, don't be pissed at what a fucking shit-lived director from Hollywood says. Worry about the fucking U.S. government. that trains these people to kill, psychologically damages them from overuse in combat. Like, really, you need like a fucking Deanna Troy level psychiatrist in the field with soldiers. You need somebody that they can talk to and get that shit off their fucking minds and their souls, because that right there will eat them alive. Don't, once they're out, well, they're no longer a problem. That's what the U.S. government does to these fucking soldiers, and that's fucked up. And to see this happening, and if you give more of a shit about a director of a Spider-Man movie than what the U.S. government does, like, go to a fucking veterans a VA hospital. I went to a VA hospital one time in Delaware for my grandfather who was there. It was it looked like a goddamn morgue, like an old, like, it looks like some. Remember that show? It was on MTV. It was like a haunted places show where they have like the cameras attached to, like, look at their face, like, oh, they had like that Godsmack song at the beginning of the show. Fuck, I can't even remember it.
I think my mind's deleted anything related with Godsmack.
Yeah, but but yeah,
space for other things.
Well, it's kind of like, it looked like a haunted morgue.
No, I get what you're saying, dude. Yeah.
And it, like,
the state of those things, the funding, all that stuff's been under heavy scrutiny for a long time.
Yeah, and it's
definitely
not just
needs to be looked into.
But nobody gives a shit, because it's like this thing. A soldier's there to do the name, rank, serial number. What else has serial numbers? The weapons, the trucks, everything like that, the vehicles, everything else has serial numbers. To them, to the U.S. government, yeah, you're not a person, you're a thing. You're a tool. You're a product of war. You're an asset. Exactly, you're an asset. And eventually, like, you're discontinued, and hey, put them out there in the world. Maybe you end up homeless. Maybe you end up committing suicide. Maybe you end up in law enforcement, and you're used to shooting first and ask questions later. You're not, military and law enforcement don't really go together that well. One is to perform a mission, another is to enforce laws, and there's a big difference. And to improperly, the improper treatment of the soldiers and, like, the military personnel. I
feel like there's shitty people no matter what kind of work you do.
Oh yeah,
that's just how it goes. There's always going to be someone who probably shouldn't be doing that job.
It's like you really have to have, like, what they, like, these people worrying about, like, garden schools. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of former military personnel that would give them a couple of M4s and have them guard guard schools from shooters, like fucking doing rounds and like patrols and shit like that. I'm not sure.
I feel like you got to go even further past all that in order to solve that problem, Larry.
Fucking checkpoints. Have the concrete checkpoints and stuff like some of the Modern Warfare, Predator drones, sentry turrets.
Well, you just people got to take a harder look at how they raise their children. The stuff they surround themselves with. That kind of stuff doesn't just happen on its own. It starts somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But honestly, and also the drugs. Because it's like, hey, this person's got emotional problems. Let's just put them on antipsychotics, antidepressants. And then if they accidentally go off of that, or they intentionally go off of that, that's when they end up going in fucking shooting sprees. Because that stuff fucks with your head so much that your wiring is all screwed up and you can't go off of it. That's what's going to... If, God forbid, we go, like, let's say EMP blast, solar flare, fries the power grid, prevents, so we go, like, it'd be a minimum a month before they can get everything restored. Let's say something along those lines.
Or maybe never.
Or maybe never. Well, eventually, you fry the grid. You can always, people with generators and, hydroelectric dams. You can always, do everything kind of not analog, but, rudimentary, and then, you can eventually do it. But it's might take a while. Well, let's say the major cities are fucked, right? Imagine those people in the major cities who are on antipsychotics and antidepressants and all these pills. Like, they got to get their medication on a regular basis. If they don't, they lose their goddamn minds. Now imagine a city where that happens. It is going to tear itself to pieces.
There's not going to be a medicine distribution system for that kind of stuff immediately. Yeah.
Unless you call
and if anybody does find that stuff, they're going to hoard it. And that's just nightmare scenario stuff. You want to hope that maybe we'll do better than that. I gotta hold on to that. I can't imagine
Dude, I'll tell you right now,
where people won't be getting the help they need because it's just gonna be shitty.
No, it won't. I mean, it's going to be extremely shitty. But I'll tell you right now, dude, go to a hardware store, get you a machete. You don't have to reload a machete. You know, if things get bad enough, it's like that's one thing about Walking Dead was so stupid. The fact that nobody's using 22 rifles and 22 ammo and machetes. I go to a fucking a big blue hardware store. You could buy as many machetes as you want. I think you buy like too many. Like, hey, what you doing with this? I'm hiring a work cleaning.
That's what's gonna happen. It's like, what are you doing with all these?
Well, have a perfect reasonable explanation. I've hired a cleaning crew to clean out some brush, and I got like 15 guys coming, so I need 15 machetes that actually have sharp blades. Your store has sharp blades. I figure buy them here, right here and now, instead of trying to buy them in bulk online, because right here and now, I can take them over there, hand them off, and we get the brush cleaned, if not today and tomorrow. There you go. Reasonable explanation for having not stocking.
We've recorded Larry's alibi. There you go.
No, I'm like putting like you know, not putting it behind the door, or in the bathroom, or in the living room, or in the kitchen. Like, so in case somebody breaks in, you have a machete at hand. You're like, ah, you know, just like charge them, you know. But I'm not saying do that. But honestly, it's like, you know, like the fact that people don't defend themselves and like expect law enforcement to do it for them is a fucking joke. But you know, like I said earlier, I hate everything. You know, and DC Fans United agrees with me. Larry hates everything. I fucking hate that Spider-Verse. It looks like animatic. It looks like Gumby at 15 frames a second. It's bad looking. Like, oh, it's gonna have you know, Spider-Man 2099. I just want a Spider-Man 2099 movie. I don't care about anybody else. I want Miguel O'Hara to show up, and that's it.
I think they're doing one with Nicolas Cage playing the Norse Spider-Man. I think it might appear that they're going to do a number of these.
Oh wow!
Yes, well, Nicolas Cage is Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
drink it in.
I spin webs, and yeah, like I can't do a Nicolas Cage.
Well, I mean, it's going to be Norse Spider-Man, so I feel like there's a good chance it might be able to knock this out.
Yeah, I just, well, it's Nicolas Cage. He's not known for the most subtle person. I'm trying to imagine any noir story with Nicolas Cage, even if it's Spider-Man. That's a stretch, man. That's a real stretch. Like, I mean,
you got to let it into your heart, Larry. You got to give it a chance.
Let Leaving Las Vegas Nicolas Cage in.
Let that movie into your heart and into your mind.
Sounds like some cult talk. Sounds like some communists would say. But I like Spider-Man 2099. I'd actually mentioned that to oh damn it, Rick Leonardi, I believe. Yeah, Rick Leonardi. About because he's an artist on Spider-Man 2099. I was like, hey, anybody ever mention to you the fact that Spider-Man 2099 inspired Batman Beyond? And he's like, huh? And I was like, yeah, Miguel O'Hara, Terry McGinnis.
I will say a lot of that stuff was right around the same time. It's definitely a good observation. I mean, I don't know if is it true?
I mean, that's from what I inferred, and I'd heard it before, but Rick Leonardi's response was, "Well, if Peter David ain't upset about it, I guess it ain't a problem." You know, he hasn't raised a stink about it, so maybe he doesn't know. I mean, that wouldn't be impossible. The fact that, you know, but it's already too late. Like what?
It's too late. 15, yeah, it's 16, a little late.
15, 16 years ago, like when that went off the air.
He's going up there with the baseball bat.
Yeah.
Start knocking on the doors.
Their Major Tom's like, I hate that they're pushing Spider-Gwen, a character who has been canceled and is, from all intents and purposes, gone.
That character's not dying. That character's not going away.
Well, you know the reason she's back, that Spider-Verse movie, is because of Amy Pascal over at Sony. She was like, "Oh, I got to make a Spider-Gwen movie. We got to make a female superhero movie."
Oh yes.
Yeah, and that's the only reason she's around.
But there won't be any Spider-Man. There will be no relation to Spider-Man. No. So try to wrap your mind around that one.
It's just this idea of Spider-Gwen and Gwenpool and all that. It's just, I hate it. I hate these like very derivative. That's the joke. It's like this, like Batman works by himself. All right, fine. You don't need a Robin. Robin as a character,
he's getting one.
We,
He's
well,
getting one.
Robin works. When you think about it, Robin would work by himself without Batman. You know,
We've seen Robin work by himself without Batman.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, no Batman involved. Like, say, like a universe where Batman doesn't exist, but Dick Grayson, boy wonder, you know, at the Haley
Dick
Brothers
Grayson will
Circus.
become Batman. That's what happens.
Well, even I'd say Nightwing. Well, not even Nightwing. Just like the Robin,
Nope.
and he's like
Batman.
I would say, look, why didn't they make Robin look more like the Shadow or something? You know, this kind of like that, right? Instead of giving him that, you remember that '70s Robin, like where he's adult Robin, he's like just this kind of, it's like the ugly costume. It was like the R logo, but within like the bat symbol. It's like, I own this now.
I like that.
I hated
like
that, man. It was so bad. It's like, you know, it's just this idea of
that's a look that could maybe get an update.
it's like the '70s, the '70s, '80s, the disco Nightwing costume with the gold plating. That thing looked like,
oh, you talk about with the collar?
The collar,
yeah,
or like
that was a sweet suit, dude.
Dude, he stripped a disco ball for his outfit.
That is the best. I love that costume. I like it.
I like Nightwing a lot. Don't get me wrong.
That's when he first struck out on his own, dude.
Yes, he did.
Sticking it to the man. He's like, I'm here.
Oh, and
I'm my own guy.
I don't know if you knew
Fuck
this,
being Robin.
but that issue, Liefeld ripped the first couple pages of the issue off for X-Force #1. I kid you not. You compare the first few issues, first few pages of that comic. It's the new Teen Titans cover. I think it's issue 34 or 39. It's the one where it's a mostly white cover, but you see the Robin costume and the Kid Flash costume like laying on the ground or whatever, and then Dick and Wally walking away. It's like a mostly white cover. The first like 3-4 pages of that, including the splash, are mimicked by Liefeld in X-Force #1. It's like there's no, he's like a homage, but that's just too much. But it's Liefeld, so what do you expect, you know?
Let's say, I mean, not that it's a bad thing, I guess, but you got to think of that crew as they did what they wanted, you know?
Yeah.
And they continued to do that after the fact. So
well,
anything like that, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, Wally quit for a while until Crisis. You know, he was out of the loop for wow, like a year or two until Crisis happened. But I like this stuff. See, I like these comics. I love the fact that you pick these comics up, just dive into them. They were dense, but without being like too dense. Like they like dense in content, but not in accessibility. And nowadays, it's like everything's so decompressed, and you're getting like a fraction of a story per issue. Like you're getting like a third. Most single issues, you're only getting like a third of an actual story per issue. You know, it's so bland. It doesn't do nothing. It's like it's a waste of money. It's like your bucks per page rate. It's like I'm paying all this money.
They
for
want
nothing.
you to make an investment. That's what they want you to do. And
damn right. Like the variant covers too. Like anybody that offers variant covers these days should be like routed, and like tarred and feathered. You know, this idea of, well, it helps the stores. No, it helps Marvel and DC because these stores have to like I don't know if you follow them, Second Prints on Twitter, DMI Second 2ND Prints on Twitter. He runs a comic shop up in Rochester, New York.
And
that new Fantastic Four book, that the slots.
Oh yeah, they got a whole mess of alternate covers for that bad boy.
You have to order 105 copies to get to. Yeah. And so if you're a big shop,
you a little bit if you want this.
It's like this. Like Marvel comes up to you and like they're giving you a hug, and they just put a blade between your ribs, and they're like working it in like up and down and side to side.
They walk up to you, give you a hug, and then they pull your pants down, push you down the stairs. And they're down the stairs laughing at you.
And then they're saying, no, fuck you, pay me. This idea of variant covers in the modern day. Didn't we learn our lesson from the 90s?
I don't mind a couple variants. I'm okay with that. But when there's like 20 of them, maybe that's pushing it.
Okay, a 1-to-1 variant, like like what DC sometimes does, like where there's
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
you have a cover A, cover B, or something. You know what? I like it's a 50-50 split. You order 20 copies, you get 10 copies of one, 10 copies.
I don't like the idea of being bled dry just to get something though. So there's got to be a better way There's got to be a better incentive for local comic book shops other than, man, I really got to buy a lot of this book when I'm very unsure if people were going to buy it.
Yeah, 26 Iron Man variants. Major Thomas saying 26.
Nobody
Iron Man
wanted that garbage.
Yeah, who want? And oh yeah, are you ready for this? Dun, dun, like that bullshit. Oh my god, that is the worst fucking thing. Like I understand. Dan Slott peaked with that Arkham Asylum Living Hell comic. That was like 15 years ago. You know, the same one that introduced Aaron Cash, you know, from who showed up in the Arkham games.
Yeah.
And the Great White Shark, which only like had like a couple I guess Easter eggs towards. But it is this disgusting method of fucking over shops. Like, you know, speaking of fucking over, the whole Batman 50 thing, it's like this idea of pushing a wedding that's never going to happen.
Someone really shit the bed on that one.
Somebody needs to be fired for that shit. Jim Lee should like go out. They should publicly flog this person and then fire him afterwards. You know, and it's this idea of, well, would you expect them to actually get married? Like, you know what? Yes, you're fucking...
I felt like they were leading us up to believe that,
and that right there is only going to hurt. How is that helping the fact that they're not getting married? How is that helping the shops? How's it helping the readers? How is that like? Oh, we're going to tell a great story. You know?
I would have rather read that twist in the book instead of reading it on the internet.
Without the hype.
Yeah.
If they didn't know hype, none of this RSVP bullshit, none of the tie-ins, just issue 48, 49, building towards a wedding. Issue 50 comes along, the wedding doesn't happen. But maybe in the book, like I suggested the other night on the stream, I said instead of Bruce and Selena getting married, it should be like Dick and Barbara. Like they should get married instead. It's like they get hitched in it. Like maybe not a big.
Oh,
wedding.
You want to pull a Gambit Rogue deal, huh? Look at you.
Yeah, basically. Oh, I didn't.
Look at you.
Well, it's like over that right there. It's like, but that's another thing. The whole Kitty Colossus. Is anybody really surprised that Marvel shit the bed? You know, on that. Is anybody surprised?
They were building it up like it was going to happen, and I feel like, you know, as far as those two characters go, yes, I believe it. I think, yeah, definitely it would work as far as storytelling because those two have history. Those two have been together, you know. They've flirted with this before, you know what I mean? But I feel like they've got everyone on the hook for that, and they didn't produce. And I read it. I picked it up. I needed to know. I was disappointed.
Yeah, Marvel Comics abandoned all hope.
But marrying Rogue and Gambit, I feel like that's too easy. And I feel like it won't last. But I guess we'll see.
The thing about Rogue is, it's just bad writing. Is the relationship with Rogue that could work? Like the fact that you have mutant control collars, like they inhibit the mutant ability, like on Genosha, and Rogue's power is by the touch. So the only thing, you know, like maybe Forge can make like a smaller version, like about like the size of a, you know, like a, I guess like a computer chip or a patch or something. She could put it in the back of her ear, where she could have relations with Gambit without worrying about, you know, killing him or becoming or taking all his power. You know, like that right there. There's no excuse. Like you could, and X-Men is a book where you could infer sexual relations between characters because you know you had Madeline Pryor. You've had people have kids. But
that stuff has been, yeah, kids weren't just appearing from nowhere.
Exactly. You know, but where they would infer certain things, like you'd see Wolverine or some other hero like bedding down with a woman, like you see like his head go below panel, and then like, you know, it's like you see like the building, you know, you see like a light in a room, and then see outside of a building, it's like a silhouette, but there's like you see the lights on, and then the light goes off, and then next page, and then it's the next morning, like she's like in a kimono or something, and Wolverine's in pajama pants or something, you know, that kind of thing.
You know what happened. You know what happened.
You don't have to show thrusting.
You don't have to telegraph it, but you get the idea that yes.
You don't need to see Wolverine's O face with like, you know, I don't know, Mariko's legs around his side of his head.
Some things can still be left to the imagination and still be clearly, you know, pointed out.
Yeah, like, and yeah, Major Tom, Dan Didio is an idiot for views on hero marriage. Any person that has a problem with characters getting married is a fucking idiot, because the fact that, well, if they get married, there's no drama. Have you ever seen a fucking marriage?
Have you
You know,
seen the real thing?
you people like that's a problem. You live in comic books so much. The fact that in comics, because most people aren't married. Well, Sue and Reed were married, and their fucking marriage wasn't a peace, a cakewalk and peace and love and happiness all the time. They were fighting all the fucking time. Like Reed knew it, like thought he knew everything, like what everything's supposed to be, and Sue was like, "Fuck that shit." Like I like that. Who doesn't like the fact that now should everybody get married? Fuck no. Like Gambit getting married, I can see it like backfiring, but that right there, that's drama. That's character development. That's building interest in these stories. But taking anything off the table. Well, if you're going to take something off the table, death. Take death off the table for a year or two. Make death matter, and keep the people dead.
Well, I think we've seen them try to do that, though.
Yeah, but it's like they do it in such a poor way. Like this whole the hunt for Wolverine and all like this dragging out of Wolverine's gonna return. Wolverine's like, who gives a fuck? Like who's reading them books? Like that's another thing. Who's reading that stuff? I couldn't see myself paying that much money for it.
I picked up the first couple issues of I guess of the main book. I haven't picked up any of the offshoots. Although I did pick up the one with Sabretooth, Decan, and Lady Deathstrike, and I did not like it.
See, these characters like Sabretooth, like Lady Deathstrike, Decan, Dokken, whatever his name is. I'm thinking Don Dokken. That's what I'm thinking of. Like the 80s metal band, Dokken. They did the Dream Warriors theme, from Friday the 13th 3 Dream Warriors. But this idea of bringing him back, it's like just bring him back. This slow build, like bring him back.
They're bringing back Nitro Claws, dude. Get ready.
Oh God, why?
Does this guy need another ability? That's my real question. I feel like Wolverine's got a palette of abilities.
Wolverine's got too much. I loved Wolverine before the origin story, before the whole James Howlett reveal and all that.
I enjoyed the mystery. I felt like that's what makes Wolverine dangerous as a character. Yes. This guy has no idea where he comes from. He knows nothing. And part of his journey is encountering these greater aspects of his history that he's not familiar with, Yeah. I liked it.
I did too. Like I like the idea.
I also feel like it gives you infinite possibilities. You've got a box doesn't have walls.
Yeah. But you box yourself in, and that's your own problem. Because when you're dealing with Wolverine, this is a character that I think, like one theory, or maybe I came up with this, or somebody else did. I probably heard this from someplace else. Was that Wolverine was actually a caveman that had gotten this healing factor, and he just at like the age of like 30, 33 or so, he just stopped aging, and he's been like a caveman. He explains his size and his stature and the look. He looks like a caveman, like he looks like, you think of a caveman, short, squat, but strong looking, like stocky.
Isn't his actual height like 5'4", 5'5", somewhere in there?
I thought it was like 5'3" or something. I want to say 5'3", 5'4", but that's pretty short for average man. It's like pretty short, And this idea of him possibly being a caveman, but with like not Alzheimer's, but the brain can only hold so much memory. And he that's why when he encounters certain people, maybe it's not the Weapon X program that took his memory from him. Maybe it's just age. You've been around for a couple of, say 100,000 years. Like the idea of you can do Wolverine stories where it's like ancient North Africa, and he's, encounters in Sabah Nur. Or, all this, like the one story I had, like this would be so offensive, but fuck it, I do it anyway.
Oh shit, here we go.
Wolverine is either two things. One is offensive, the other one's not. Is more. One is offensive, and the one's not as offensive. Wolverine is Jesus, or Wolverine is Lazarus.
Oh God.
Yeah, so Lazarus would make more sense. The fact that Wolverine just gets killed by some Roman soldiers, stabbed through the heart and lungs and shit like that, and Jesus comes up to him. It's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And you don't know it's Jesus at first. Just assume maybe it's Jesus. Eventually down the line, it's like, "Are you okay?" And so Wolverine gets back up, so people think Jesus made him come back from the dead, and he's like, "Yeah, thanks, bub."
So you're saying Wolverine created Jesus?
No, what? Not creative, but maybe
Help.
one of the more famous miracles was Lazarus. And that maybe Wolverine and a couple other mutants, or like part of the apostles. Like Jesus wasn't the one making the water into wine. It was like some kind of mutant that can, like, kind of an alchemist kind of mutant that could take like lead and turn it to gold, or water into wine, that kind of thing.
Alchemy, huh?
Yeah, it's like some kind of like alchemy. Alchemy probably didn't exist as a concept at that point, but like they were able to transmutate properties. So basically, Jesus had some running buddies until some Roman mutants showed up and like scattered him in the winds and then killed Jesus, and nobody could resurrect him. So that, like, I don't know, it'd be a buddy story, but wow, that'd be highly offensive to certain people.
The buddy story.
It's like it's like the magnificent. It's like the Dirty Dozen, except not dirty, but still like a dozen because the 12 apostles. So,
but now there's 13 with Logan.
The dirty baker dozen, but with Jesus as the 13th man. Oh no!
Oh man!
Weapon 13. Jesus H. Christ. Weapon H. Jesus H. Christ.
Weapon Holy Spirit.
Oh God. Hopefully I'm not offended too many people with that. But I think you know what? That right there, at least it's like showing like Jesus being a good man. Like helping people, like actually trying to give assistance to a dying man, and like not be like, oh, whatever, fuck that, ain't my problem. But it's like stuff like that. Like
the moral of the story.
Be a decent human being, even if you're a mutant. It's like that kind of thing. But like that, like there was a Perch had shared that ad from the old X-Men book. It was it's 1987. Do you know what your children are? And it's like 3 kids, and then there's a kid picture, and it's like
my kid's a mutie, dude.
Dude, I love that shit, man. I love that. Like that was like. That right there was so fucking good. You remember when they tried to copy that? Marvel did when they did the whole Secret Invasion bullshit.
I remember. I bought most of that.
That was such a bad book, man. It was so.
I was tuning in to figure out who was not who they said they were. That's all I wanted to see.
See, I couldn't do it. I couldn't stick with it. Yeah, you dirty.
I got a big miserable stack in the closet. That's that. Yeah.
Larry pitched Wolverine Bible stories. Oh God, Samson was a fucking Samson had super strength, and then
so Samson and Logan. So we'll get Hugh Jackman and The Rock together to make this movie. I like the sound of this.
Yes, Jesus Christ.
This is the buddy movie you wanted, and Kevin Hart will be there as their kind of manager friend. Yeah. No. You know what? Even better, Kevin Hart as Bishop. Boom.
Don't you do that to me. Don't you do that. No, that's wrong.
Kevin Hart traveling through time. He's come back to try to help.
A Sentinel as Goliath. There you go. Puck is David, and Goliath is the Sentinel. And instead of the slingshot, he's just throwing himself. Oh my God. Like this. Like these ideas, like these stupid ideas, will just get me in trouble. But I look at comics as like this idea. Like there are certain things that comics do that you can't do in a film. You can't do in movies, even film, TV, anything else. You can't tell the grand. You can't show a visual. Like, do you remember the Phalanx? When Gladiator showed up as like Uncanny X-Men, like 342, 343. When Gladiator shows up and then absconds with the X-Men to the Shi'ar Galaxy,
to
fight the Phalanx. That epic space shit, you couldn't do that you could do that, but you'd have to have a huge budget.
It's going to be huge, yeah. And that stuff, I remember when that first happened, I was hooked. I always enjoyed that. I always felt like when the X-Men went to space, it was always against much greater odds. It was so much bigger than what their little bit was on Earth.
Yeah, like this idea of making comics like treating the mainstream comics and any comics really as kind of like indie, like personal reflection and all that shit. There's so much like that out there already. It's have characters but have interesting stories. Hook somebody with a good plot, like a juicy plot. Like you should be more like Roger Corman and less like oh, damn it, the dude that did Jerry Maguire. More Roger Corman and Steven Spielberg, less Richard Linklater. There you go. Like, hey, as great as Dazed and Confused is, I'm gonna say Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but as great as Dazed and Confused is,
I was gonna say Fast and Furious myself, but
Fast and Furious.
Cinema classic, Larry.
Paul Walker went a little too.
It will be accepted eventually.
Paul Walker went a little too fast, and he was a little bit too furious. Wow, I touched the nerve.
You touched the nerve, dude. You did, man. I'm a fan.
When the servers for WWE 2K16 was still alive, me and Antonio, my friend Antonio, did a podcast with AntKingFrequency.com. I think it's .com. Either way,
Keep plugging away.
Well, I'm trying to. You can't hurt me for that. We did like the most offensive characters we could create.
Jesus, so, no, you didn't.
Yeah, we had a wrestling.
Who do you think you are?
Okay. I created mine and created his. He created Anton Yelchin is like Anton Yelchin in the Star Trek from like blood stain on his chest. And I created Paul Walker, and he's a skinny man with a black skull mask. His like skin was black. He had a halo and wings and a pair of tights that say "way too fast." So it was Anton Yelchin's dead body versus the charred remains of Paul Walker.
Holy shit, dude!
Dude, I'm gonna post it again to Twitter. I have the video.
No,
I'm posting to Twitter. I'm begging you that.
I'm begging you not to do it.
No, I already posted it in the past, but I'm gonna post it again.
Well, maybe people forgot. Just keep it that way.
Well, here's another thing.
Holy cow, dude!
Antonio created himself, and I was like, I can't trust him because he's been playing more wrestling games than me. He played on the N64, which is a fucking bitch. Like to play.
Holy shit, dude!
Wrestling games on the N64 and all that stuff. He was playing it. Like I thought it was. I mean, that shit's tough. Them janky N64 controllers. I don't give a fuck what people say. Even if you were saying, "Oh, the N64 had great controls," bullshit.
That wrestling game on the 64 was badass, dude. In my opinion, that is the best wrestling game ever.
Nah, man, I have to say, Raw is War on the PS1.
What?
Attitude, WWF Attitude on the PS1.
That was a great era of wrestling, but that game was shit, dude.
I don't know, man. I don't think the N64 could allow me to make an alien named Anal Probe. He'd come up out of the ground like Gangrel. Yes.
What about the mechanics, though, man?
Fuck the mechanics. I wanted my own character creation shit, man. I liked it.
I wanted the Wild West.
Dude, Anal Probe was a gray alien who'd come out of the ground like Gangrel's entrance. He'd come off the stage. Good, and he'd come down with a chalice. And he'd drink the blood and spit it at the audience.
That's not good.
It's alien. It's anal blood because his name's Anal Probe.
I put that together. You didn't need to spell it out.
I needed to spell it out just to make it as horrific as possible. He needed to
sell it.
But Antonio made himself in the game, and this is when they actually shut down the servers on us in between making these like matches because we just do this for shits and giggles. So I make myself in the. Well, yeah, we didn't even get to fight because they shut down the servers. I guess to switch over, like I hate that when they do that shit. But that's Xbox One for you. But
that's new games in general for you, dude. They're not going to support those servers forever.
Like Modern Warfare 3 servers, Activision still got that shit going because I'm playing the Spec Ops mode in that, and that's been fucking great. I had a lot of fun in that with the Spec Ops mode. But so I create my dude. It looks like me. And I needed 2 managers just as backup. So I have a guy named New Jack Hitler backing
Holy
me.
cow, dude.
He looks like if Rob Liefeld drew Hitler. and it was like the
No.
giant, like the heroes are born Hitler, and to my left is Harambe.
What?
Yes, I had Harambe and Hitler as my managers walking me down, and it was like Big Evil was the team name, and everybody's booing me. Like, I wish they could throw trash.
What did you think the result was gonna be?
No, I wanted them to boo me in the game. That's the thing. I was like, I made them. I was a heel, man. How much heelish can you get to resurrect the corpse of Harambe and Hitler and give him fucking like super soldier formula?
You're going to jail. That's how bad you are.
The best part is the Harambe entrance. Like when Harambe by himself, he comes in, and Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. He do the bang bang, the guns.
That's not good. That's
dude, he's like, from Cincinnati, Ohio, it's Gorilla. I like, bang bang, bang bang. America's sweetheart, Gorilla, and
it's just pushing the limits.
Dude, I had no fucking limits. It's so no shame. I made this stuff, and it was like I miss doing that kind of thing. And apparently, in the newer games, you could do it too. But I don't want to buy the game and then the server go down eventually.
It's going down, Larry. Your dreams won't be realized.
It's going down, man. But yeah, I like that idea of being able to character creation and just be insanely offensive with it. Because at the end of the day, if you can't push those limits, if you can't break those taboos, then what's the point?
I don't push those limits, I guess. I don't know.
Man, you're too safe, man. Yeah, you granola-eating motherfucker. I thought you had Texas blood, but no, you had to go and move up Pacific Northwest and shit. Man,
oh, no.
They took it out of you, didn't they?
They didn't take it out of me. They didn't take it out on me. I just don't need that many options, I guess.
Oh, my God.
I'm not sitting there trying to figure out a way to get a dead gorilla partnered up with Hitler.
I did it, though. That's the crazy thing.
You just sit there. You got a dartboard with all these pictures on it. It's like one of these is being put with the other.
It's like most people would think about it. I actually made it happen. So I don't know what to say about a lot of people. It's like there's losers in this world and there's real winners, and I was a real fucking winner when it came to this. Like I actually think what was the funniest thing I to come up with was the intro, like the intro sequence. It was just like acting up on me. It didn't it was like the game was fighting. It's like, Larry, you shouldn't be doing this.
The game was trying to turn against you.
It's like,
what you're trying to do, son.
Oh God, what was it? There is actually I don't know. Here, let's see. Okay, I'm still. I think we'll be able to share this. Hold on a second. Let me see. Share screen. Let me see. Let's see. Oh wait. Oh crud. All right. Let's see. All right, sharing screen. I got to share screen. All right. Okay. Here it is.
Look at that. Oh God, there it is.
Okay.
Shit.
Can you hear that?
Look at it. That's not good. Good God.
It's on Yoshi's chest. Oh shit. Oh my God.
This is from Xbox Live, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Why is he so big? What the fuck?
See, Major Tom in the chat says heroes are born Hitler, like LOL or something like that.
Holy
Am I joking?
Shit.
Was I wrong? Was I wrong?
I was sitting here thinking Larry told a good joke today. But now
you want to see a good joke? You want to see a good joke? Let me. Okay. Let's see if I can get this real quick. Oh Jesus Christ! All right, I had a match set up. Oh, sorry, I'll get to it. Okay, there was the one thing about that W2K6, there is a option where you do like a 6-man tag team match. Okay.
Oh no.
And
no.
I
tell me you didn't do something.
Dude.
Oh God.
Okay, look upon it, and look at this team. It's me, New Jack Hitler, and Harambe versus Isaiah Bradley, Bishop, and fucking Nightwing.
What is Bishop doing here?
Bishop said travel back in time to stop me. He's trying to warn me from not doing this.
He made a bad choice.
He fucking failed. Bishop failed hard. And the best thing about it, it's like everybody's just booing, and I wish they could throw trash. It's like they should be throwing trash. And here comes me.
That's not good. Nope.
The Wild Punch. The fucking Jack's fucking Hitler.
You gave it a name?
Oh, God. This is so
There's
wrong.
No words for this. There's no words. What the fuck?
I had to stop, dude. It is so fucking horrible.
If you wanted people to forget, they're gonna remember now.
Oh, fuck that! I don't give a shit, man. It's fucking funny. Oh, the other, I forgot the other offensive one because I told you about the Anton Yelchin versus Paul Walker. That actually ain't.
Leave Paul alone, dude.
Dude, no, you have to witness this.
I can't, man.
Dude, you can. You have the strength within you. You have the
This
power.
is burning my soul, dude. I can feel it.
You know what? That stuff burning away from your soul, that's all the excess. That's the hydrocarbons. Burning away from... That's the hydrocarbons burning away from your soul.
You gotta keep that shit intact.
It's the impurities, man. You know, you can do that. All right,
You're looking for it. You're fucking looking for it.
I found it, man. Don't worry.
Shit.
It is. I think this is just the last one because it's right here. I don't think you can top this. All right, here we go. Sharing Freddie Mercury versus Paul Walker.
God damn, no.
Freddie Mercury don't fuck around, man.
What's with they got
He
fucking halos?
And he wants it now. In the double halos with the wings. Way too fast.
This is bad. This is fucking bad. This is so fucking bad, dude.
Dude,
that's not good.
That's actually underneath. You know the video file is called WWE WWE like
too far
are going to hell.
Too far.
That's the goddamn truth. But yeah, I don't. This is so fucked up. But
there
dude,
it is. It's in the open now.
Too fucked up. Way too fucked up. But oh man, with that, it's been almost it's been like a little over 2 hours. So
boom.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, folks. I know everybody's bouncing out because it's dinner time all over the place, especially on the East Coast. So thank you all for joining us. Matt, thank you for joining me in this cathartic session of just getting shit off our chests.
Thank you. I had a blast.
Even though I've tainted your soul,
I won't be sleeping tonight. I won't be sleeping.
You'll just be laughing way too much.
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm scarred.
Heroes Reborn Hitler.
Those aren't heroes. Those cannot be
heroes. Reborn Hitler.
You can't be Heroes Reborn Hitler.
Jacked Hitler. It won't even let me put Hitler. The game, I try to figure a way around it. They won't even let you put Hitler in there, like even like fudge him with it.
Tried to figure out a way around it.
It wouldn't let me.
Tell you not to do it, dude. You should have
listened.
listened.
Like, Larry, don't do it. It's like, fuck you, game. I know what I'm doing.
No. They're trying to save your soul, man.
SOSD.
You can't. God.
Oh my god.
They tried to stop you, dude. You fucking did it anyway. Then they shut the servers down because of maniacs like you.
Oh my goddamn maniac. Oh shit.
They were seeing it, dude.
Oh, here's the thing about this. That ain't the word. I saw somebody put a Harambe. At one time, you could download custom characters, custom skins. I guess you say custom characters. and one of them was Harambe, but with fucking bullet holes. Somebody put
No.
bullet holes in Harambe. Like,
No.
oh no, that was so bad. It was awful.
God.
I was like, I kind of wanted to download it though, but I did.
No, you
I was
didn't.
Like, this is like
You didn't want that. No, that you thought it would be funny to want it. You didn't want it. You didn't want it.
No, I did want it, but the only reason I didn't, not because it was because I was like, I didn't want to wait because downloads
Who
for
made
some reason
that?
took a while.
God, that's so brutal.
Some person that's more evil than I am, which is saying something. But
someone is sitting there thinking they want to make that. God,
Jesus,
leave the gorilla alone.
Leave Harambe alone. He's America's sweetheart.
God, let him rest in peace.
Rest in peace. You know,
don't immortalize him with a bullet hole fucking costume on a cane. Don't do that.
And in a costume, it's his real body, man.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. All he want to do is play with the kid, man.
This is why they turn the servers off.
They turn us to prevent my insanity from spreading.
They see the shit going on. They're like, they got to put their hand on it, dude.
Yeah, we gotta fucking end this shit. Yeah, we can't let this server keep going. But thank you again, Matt. Thank you to those in the chat that were there. I think they're all about bounced out now. But anybody listen to playback, there you go. But until next time, folks, thank you again. And Matt, see you around, buddy.
See you around, man.
All right, bye.